NASCAR Live is presented by Nextel. Nextel. Done.
Welcome to the Lowe's Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina, where tonight this mile-and-a-half track plays host to the 5th race in the chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Tony Stewart's crew getting that car dialed in for tonight's UAW GM Quality 500. Race number 31 of the 36 race 2004 season tonight under the lights here in Concord, North Carolina. Hi, everybody. There we are outside turns 3 and 4 at the speed stage. Let's take a look at today's menu. Lots to bring your way to this racing weekend. Just ahead, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race from Texas. Pitbull at 6:30, and of course NBC has the UAW GM Quality 500. Let's go to Bob Dillon right now in the garage.
Jerry, this morning, and a lot of people actually looking at this guy, Kurt Busch, because of course, if you paid attention to happy hour, the final practice session yesterday, the points leader actually slapped the outside wall, and it took a pretty good look, although it didn't look that harmful. Well, the team had to go to work on this car and do a lot of stuff, a lot of right front suspension damage, and the team was working underneath the rear end of this car just a little while ago, Steve, because the rear end got shifted over. They actually did some welding on some of the exhaust brackets as well.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. In 8 career starts here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Kurt Busch has a best finish of 11th. He'll look to improve that tonight. Hey, right to Texas for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. NASCAR Live, Nextel, done.
For the second time this season, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series convoy rolls into one of the fastest tracks on the circuit, Texas Motor Speedway. Every driver is out here to win. The last time we were here, Dennis Setzer took over the race lead from Ted Musgrave with 5 laps to go and won by the largest margin of victory in track history. Dennis Setzer will win. Setzer is still in the hunt for his first championship. The points leader knows he's in tough company for this year's title. And with 5 races to go, we could be in for a good old-fashioned showdown in the Lone Star State. The crowds are bigger, the speeds are bigger, everything is bigger when you're in Texas. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. The 4 top 10 point standings show Bobby Hamilton on top for his 7th race in a row. Between Hamilton and Dennis Setzer, they have dominated the top spot for 17 of the 20 races run this season. Carl Edwards and Ted Musgrave need to make a move today if they want a shot at the title this year. Since relinquishing the points lead to Bobby Hamilton, Dennis Setzer has failed to lead 1 lap in the last 7 races.
Around the Craftsman Truck Series, Dennis Setzer is commonly known as the short track king. Setzer has conquered an unlikely opponent this year, the mile-and-a-half Speedway. Without a short track trophy this season, Setzer has grabbed 2 first-place finishes, one at Charlotte in May and here at Texas in June. With 5 races to go and only 1 short track remaining, Setzer hopes the Texas two-step helps the 46 Chevrolet close in on leader Bobby Hamilton. And today here at Texas and next week at Martinsville are 2 races that Dennis Setzer knows he can really possibly make up some big ground. You've won here, you've won at Martinsville. Is this your best chance to get some points away from Bobby Hamilton?
Well, we certainly hope so. This will be a good chance for us. You know, Texas has been a good speedway for us. Morgan Dollar Motorsports always done pretty good in our Silverados here, so we're excited about it.
Tell me what the objective is today with you up front and Bobby Hamilton in the back. How far can you keep him back there?
Well, he's on his own, whatever he can do back there. We just need to stay up front with our Silverado today. Truck was pretty good all during practice right there. We chose some race-type strategy in the qualifying run. Maybe didn't qualify as well as we needed to. I think we should race a little better than that.
I think he will, and there's one other guy that hopes to be a star in Texas.
Lone Star State fans all cheer for Houston, Texas native David Starr. Starr's record at Texas Motor Speedway includes 4 top 5s and a top 10 on a racetrack where he used to be a driving instructor. His consistent finishes have kept him in the top 10 all season long. Starr's victory in St. Louis would pale in comparison to a win in front of a home state crowd. David Starr has had consistent finishes all season long, but the last 2 visits to Texas, David, bad luck and misfortune has given you those poor finishes. What does your truck have for us today?
Well, hopefully it has what it takes to get to the checker flag first, but our Chevy Silverado is pretty good in happy hour. Was concerned every time I got behind a different make of truck, really picked up a big aero push up off the corners. Dave McCarty, the guy, made some changes before qualifying, hopefully to fix some of that. So I think the guys that made the right changes kind of helped that aero push off the corners be the ones that run up front today.
David Starr in his home state looking for a good finish in front of the hometown crowd, also celebrating his birthday this weekend.
Welcome, everyone, to Texas Motor Speedway. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons and Chad Little. Yesterday, practice and qualifying took place, and for the 3rd straight race, a Toyota's been on the pole. Phil, that Toyota's got his work cut out for him today.
Rick, Mike Skinner, for the 2nd consecutive race, will have to go to the back of the pack and give up that pole position, that front row start. He lost an engine early in practice, changed engines, qualified with a backup engine. Will obviously have to go to the back of the pack, but he's not going to be by himself. Bobby Hamilton, our point leader for the 2nd consecutive race, also changed an engine. He changed after qualifying. Rules dictate he has to go to the back of the pack. Texas Motor Speedway is extremely wide, extremely smooth, and ultra fast with speeds upwards of 190 miles an hour. So passing is certainly possible. But Bobby Hamilton proved at California a couple of weeks ago that he can make his way to the front. He started 33rd, moved all the way to 5th at the finish of the race. Mike Skinner, on the other hand, started at the back, got caught up in an accident, ruined his day. So you've got to have a little bit of good luck starting from the back of the pack.
And Bobby Hamilton has insisted all season long he is not points racing until 5 races to go. Well, today is the 5th race to go. Chad, what is points racing for Bobby Hamilton?
Well, I think you got to look at a couple different things, Rick. First of all, from the team standpoint, what you look at is the team has to be more prepared for this race than any other race this year. In fact, back at the shop, what they did is they prepared body panels. They actually practiced putting those on the truck, so that if an accident happens, they'll lose the least amount of points as possible. Pit stops, they need to make sure they make no mistakes. If they make an adjustment on a pit stop, don't leave the wrench in there. Costly errors like that, don't make any mistakes. Now, what about Bobby driving the truck? He needs to make sure that he doesn't take any chances. I call it risk aversion. He needs to look at 3 wide and say, do I really need to go 3 wide into this corner, or should I wait to the next lap? Don't make any mistakes.
Well, Chad may call it risk aversion. If you're in football, it's called the prevent defense. You don't want to lose the lead you've built up. Bobby Hamilton, one of the 11 different winners in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series this season. We have had 3 different first-time winners in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Different drivers claiming the top prize at the 20 races that have taken place so far this year. 4 wins for Bobby Hamilton. Ted Musgrave winning, as well as historic wins for Travis Kvapil, first ever win for Toyota. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. Beautiful afternoon just outside of Dallas and Fort Worth in Texas at Texas Motor Speedway. 68 degrees is the temperature. They're expecting that to come up maybe to 74, 75 degrees today. The points chase has heated up in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The eventual champion with 5 races to go. In the past, the furthest they've ever come from behind has been 105 points, and that was Jack Sprague back in 1999. Now, we've got 2 drivers that were somewhat keeping into that points race, Carl Edwards and Ted Musgrave, but they're quite a bit further than 105 points out. Phil, how can we keep those 2 drivers in this championship?
Well, Rick, I think realistically, Carl Edwards and Ted Musgrave need for Bobby Hamilton to have a little bit of bad luck. Not a horrible amount of bad luck, because you can gain as much as 135 points on the leader. If you lead the most laps, win the race, and he finishes last. Now, that's probably not going to happen, but if they can have a little bit of bad luck for Bobby Hamilton, they can get right back in this thing.
Well, Chad, we've talked about the improved field in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Does that make it more difficult for a Carl Edwards and a Ted Musgrave to get those 2 spots to get into the top spot?
You know, it's not impossible, but they definitely have their work cut out for them. I'd say it's next to impossible, really. I think you're looking at just Dennis Setzer has the only legitimate chance at catching Bobby Hamilton at this point. I know Phil doesn't agree, but it takes a lot of problems for Phil. I mean, not just for Phil, but for Bobby and for Dennis, for those other two guys to have a chance to get up there.
Well, I guess we're going to agree to disagree in the booth today. Well, Ray standing by with our points leader, Bobby Hamilton.
Well, thank you, Rick. On Tuesday, little Haley Denise Hamilton came into the world. Bobby Jr. and Stephanie had a baby this week. So that means this guy's a grandpa. Now, you've had gray hair for a long time, but what about being a grandpa?
It's not that big of a deal. I tell you what, the first day was seeing the motions of them two. I mean, you watch people grow up real quick when that happens, and I just was really proud of the way they handled themselves through the whole thing, the way Stephanie took care of herself and listened to the doctors and all that made them have a healthy grandbaby. But, I mean, I've been itching to go home. I mean, I can't stand it. I mean, the next day we was traveling, had to go to Texas World and test, but it's a big deal. It's a great thing.
Let's talk about the race today. There's only 4 trucks behind you right here. You got a long way to go to get to the front.
Well, when it's said and done, there's not going to be none behind me because me and Mike's got to go to the rear for an engine change. But, I mean, the Square D Dodge was really good in race trim. We're usually not good here. BHR hadn't been good here ever since we've come here. I mean, we've got a few top 4 or 5 finishes, you know. But we've never been very dominant here, so I feel real good about the truck. It's the best thing I've had here, and we're just real excited about getting the race going.
Okay, good luck today. Let's find out about Carl Edwards. I believe Wendy's standing by with him.
With 5 races to go, Carl Edwards sits 3rd in points, 146 points behind Bobby Hamilton. It's getting down to crunch time, Carl. How frustrating is it? Like 2 weeks ago at California, you finished 10th and you still lose points.
Yeah, that's frustrating. And that just says a lot about these guys. You know, Bobby Hamilton and Dennis Setzer are great competitors, and we want to win this championship so badly for Super Chips. They came on last year and we really needed it, and man, it'd be unbelievable. So we're going to give it our best every race, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, we tried our best.
You have an amazing feat tonight. Tell us your travel plans.
Well, I guess we're going to ride a helicopter out of here after the race is over and go to Charlotte as quickly as we can. They say we might actually land on the infield at Charlotte and jump in that 99 Canteen car, and I mean, it's a great car. You know, it's I'm pretty excited about doing this. 2 races in one day is a dream come true.
As if double duty wasn't enough, Carl Edwards wants to take his try at TV.
Let's hand it over to Ray and see what he's got to say.
Well, thank you, Carl. Let's see if we can check in with Matt Crafton here, because the Good Wrench truck, which is number 6 here, let me jump right through your shot here. Matt, we got some bad news this week, buddy. You're not going to be back in this truck next year. How did that come about?
I don't know. It's a pretty good question. They made a decision, and they wanted to go with a veteran driver, and they put another one in it.
5th in points. Doesn't that amaze you, though? I mean, you guys haven't gotten the win this year. I know you've been awfully close a couple of times.
Yeah, we have been awfully close a couple of times, but these last 5 races, we're going to make a hell of a race out of it.
Okay, good luck. That is Matt Crafton. He may have a shot at a win today, guys.
Continued coverage of our pre-race show on Speed Channel for the Silverado 350K. We'll resume after this. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Silverado 350K on Speed Channel. Let's go trackside for our pre-race activities.
Almighty and ever-living God, we give you thanks for this beautiful day. We give you thanks for this great country and the men and women who serve and protect it. We give you thanks for your great love. On this day, we give thanks for the drivers, the sponsors, and their teams, and ask that you'd give them safety and protection. Allow them to run the best race they can to their ability. And all this we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as the Happy Hill Kids perform our national anthem.
What's
All right, race fans, how about a big round of applause for the
Perfectly
Happy Hill
timed
kids?
flyover by the A-10's Warhogs from the 47th Fighter Squadron, Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. Free race activities continue from Texas. We'll be back with more after this. Craftsman is awarding 19 autographed toolboxes that include a full set of tools this season. All they have to do is enter on speedtv.com. You guess correctly, and your name's going to be entered into a drawing. If you're selected, you win your very own stock toolbox autographed by that race's winning driver. Now, who was our winner from California?
Rick, we had almost 1,600 entries, and 27 of those correctly picked Todd Bodine to win at California. Jerry Lewis of Powder Springs, Georgia was drawn, and he is our winner of the toolbox.
Log on to speedtv.com for your chance at your very own stock toolbox. Standing by with Ted Musgraves, Ray Dunlap.
And Rick, if I was in that drawing today, I think I'd have put Ted Musgrave's name on this list. He was dominant here earlier this year. And Ted, you've got a couple of wins, 3 actually on mile-and-a-half tracks, but none at Texas. Is today the day?
I don't know. You know, the Mopar team's really been snake bit, let's put it that way, here at Texas. We've always had a fast truck, always contention and win, but something pops up, but you never know. Today could be the day.
All right, there's a guy up on the pole that has a lot of money up for grabs today, and I believe Wendy's standing by with Mike.
Mike Skinner, our pole setter, will start from the back again because of an engine change 2 weeks ago. This happened at California. The plan did not work out. You got caught up early in the race in some oil in the back of the field. How worried are you from starting in the back?
Wendy, it doesn't do any good to worry about it. You know, we got an awesome Tundra today, and got a lot of good people on this race team. I think I got the best pit crew on pit road, and we just got to miss the stuff on the racetrack. But we got an awesome truck. I just want to thank Toyota and Valvoline and everybody that's worked really hard on this. My race team, my crew chief. Thank God.
All right, we've had 11 different winners this season. Mike Skinner still looks to add his name to that elusive list. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, Wendy, early in the year at Atlanta, David Ruderman had an incredibly fast truck, and from what I've seen in practice, you look pretty good again today. You got a chance to win this thing?
I think so. The guys at Darrell Waltrip Motorsports give me another great truck to drive. TRD's making some horsepower. We just, Lord willing, we'll have a good finish here. We sure could use one.
Absolutely. David Ruderman with a good qualifying run. He'll be up here in the first 5 rows. Wendy?
Shane Meal starts second today. Shane, your truck has been stout all weekend long. What's your strategy for today?
Well, I don't know. We haven't had much luck leading a lot of races and ended up winning. So we're just going to do whatever we can and try to lead the last lap. Term Spot Chevrolet has been pretty good. We don't normally qualify this well, so we're going to try to lead the first lap and the last one.
Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Thank you, Wendy. Johnny Benson has climbed into his Toyota. And JB, since you've jumped in this 23 truck, she's been fast. What's the forecast for today at Texas?
It's been running pretty good. I mean, Greg Ely and all the guys have been doing a tremendous job at Bill Davis Racing, and we're finally starting to get it to where I can qualify a little bit better, and that's been good. So we'll see if we can keep it up front, see what happens at the end of the race. Looking forward to it.
No happy hour here at Texas. Is that a disadvantage, or is that okay?
It's okay. I mean, we had a couple hours, yesterday morning before qualifying, and most of the guys are going to do that anyways. And like I say, just get it ready to qualify and get ready to race, and everything should be fine.
Okay, good luck. That is Johnny Benson in the TRD number 23. Rick?
Well, thank you, Ray. They are getting ready for the famous words that get a race underway. And so we will go back down trackside to get this race started.
And now, race fans, for those most famous words in motorsports, please welcome our Grand Marshal, 2004 Olympic silver medalist, Toby Stevenson.
Everybody ready? Drivers, start your engines!
Toby Stevenson giving the command. Silver medalist in this past Summer Olympics. Pole vaulted 19 feet 8 1/2 inches. We'll see how high the drivers can get in the Truck Series. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Silverado 350K on Speed Channel is brought to you by Chevy, the winningest name in racing, an American revolution. By Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. And by Domino's Pizza, the official pizza of NASCAR. trucks are rolling around the track now. Take a look at the Domino's starting grid for the Silverado 350K. 17th pole for Mike Skinner in his career. Shane Meal starts on the outside of row 1.
See inside row number 3, David Starr, the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. 3 third-place finishes here at Texas.
And David Ruderman there starting in the 3rd row, his career best 3rd-place finish and the leading Rookie of the Year candidate driving for Darrell Waltrip.
Outside row 4, Dennis Setzer, currently 2nd in our points championship. When the green flag flies, he will actually be our points leader because Bobby Hamilton goes to the back.
Chad Blunt makes his first ever career NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series start, and Jimmy Smith's Team ASA Ultra Motorsports Dodge. He finished in the top 5 in the Busch race here last year.
And let's all keep our eye on Chad Chaffin, our points leader's teammate. Now, teammates can really come in important play in a race like this.
Inside row number 7, Eric Norris, 2002 NASCAR West Series champion, makes infrequent truck starts, first time in a truck in a long time.
There's 21-year-old Chase Montgomery starting 14th from Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
Inside row number 9, Wendy mentioned Carl Edwards with big day today as he runs the truck race, and then we'll hop on a plane, fly to Charlotte, North Carolina for the NASCAR Nextel Cup race.
There's our 2001 winner, Jack Sprague, inside row number 10 in his Chevrolet Silverado.
And Todd Bodine starting in one of the most recent truck winners. He said he had a strong truck today. Keep an eye on him.
Andy Houston never been out of the top 10 here in 7 starts at Texas Motor Speedway, starting inside row 13.
Steve Park has a tough row to hoe in front of him because that truck has won 4 different races here at Texas Motor Speedway, and he's been struggling since practice and qualifying. Bobby Hamilton, your points leader, qualified 32nd. They decided to change a motor on that truck, and so he will go to the back, but that's not too far back for Bobby to go. Drivers that failed to qualify are only 3 that didn't make the field, but one in particular, the 06 Jay Sauter, a former winner at this race in Texas at Texas Motor Speedway. Take a look at the Craftsman track description.
Ultra fast, 24-degree banking in the corners, double dog leg on the front straightaway. The front stretch is over 2,200 feet long. The back stretch is 1,300 feet long. These trucks will run almost wide open all the way around this racetrack.
36 trucks starting today. It's 146 laps, which is 350 kilometers. And look at that purse, $530,000. A big purse today.
We'll be riding along with the Power Stroke Diesel, number 10 of Terry Cook. He'll start 30th today.
Travis Quapple will start 11th in his Toyota, sponsored by the Toyota All-Star Showdown out at Irwindale, California, live on Speed Channel.
And here's our 2nd place man in points, 46 truck of Dennis Setzer with an onboard car, starting 8th today.
Crowd favorite David Starr will also carry one of our cameras. He'll start 5th in the Chevy 75. Craftsman win from the pole award could be won by Mike Skinner today. He could win $24,000 for his team if he is able to win today's race. Obviously, he'll have to come from the back because of an engine change earlier. If he doesn't win, another $2,000 will again be added to the prize money until someone wins. $50,000 is available this season. This shot right here is from the Chevy Silverado pace truck that is leading the field around the track right now.
As we notice, that is no longer Mike Skinner, who's qualified on the pole. That is Bill Lester. He will move up from his 3rd starting position and actually start on the pole. Ray?
Well, Phil, because Bill Lester is up there, he really believes he has a shot at winning this race today. Is that realistic? I'm not sure. His best finish in his career is 10th at St. Louis, but he has had an 11th and a couple of 12th place runs here at Texas. But Bill Lester said each of those times he believed that his truck was a top 5 contender, and he said this week it is the very best truck they've ever had. Now, they've had 11 different sponsors on this truck this year, but today it's blank. And with no stickers on there, Bill said that'll be good for aerodynamics, and it'll be a lot faster. Let's check in with Wendy.
Thanks, Ray. We talk a lot about the points contenders, but I want to talk about our rookie contenders. David Ruderman, one of our Rookie of the Year contenders, starts 6th today. One of his best finishes this season came at Texas, the other at Atlanta. He finished 3rd in both of those races, and he's in the same exact truck he was earlier this season. He's one of those guys I had on my list to win this season, so this may be the day for David Ruderman.
We're on board again with the pace truck view. That's Randy Kaiser piloting the Chevy Silverado pace truck for today's Silverado 350K.
And if we see that truck back into the wall, we've got serious problems.
We hope to never see that truck again. We hope this race will run green the entire distance, but odds are it's not going to.
Bet you $1.
I'm not so sure you can do that in the state of Texas, Chad. And Randy Kaiser pulls the pace truck down pit road, and that means Bill Lester's in charge of the field as he comes to the green flag. It flies, and we're underway with the Silverado 350K.
Look at Ted Musgrave. What a move on the inside.
On the outside, Shane Meal wants to take the top spot away from Bill Lester early on, but the inside track a little faster for Bill Lester as they go down the backstretch.
Still side by side. You see Shane Meal on the inside of the racetrack. Let's see if he can, on the outside of the racetrack, let's see if he can beat Bill Lester down to the corner. He cannot do it. You see Hank Parker Jr., the 21 Toyota, on the outside.
These guys run almost wide open here all the way around. As the tires start to wear out, they may have to lift the throttle, but right now, look at that, taking a peek on the inside, almost making 3 wide going down to turn number 1.
As they go across the start-finish line, nose to tail, Bill Lester out in front of Shane Meal and Hank Parker Jr. David Starr tucks into 4th, and in 5th, the 23 of Johnny Benson.
There's John Wood making a move on the inside of Travis Kvapil in the 24 truck. John moves up to the 8th position. Good top 10 qualifying run for John.
Battle for second. Hank Parker Jr. on the inside of Shane Meal, and coming with him, it's David Starr. Parker Jr. almost getting loose as they go across the start-finish line.
I think we saw a little bit of contact right there, and that's what we saw. The 21 truck of Parker Jr. wiggle just a little bit.
See Johnny Benson, the 23 Toyota, works to the inside of Shane Meal in the 15 truck.
I believe Shane wants to get down, Phil. He's looking for a spot right now.
A lot of talk early on in the garage today and yesterday about the horsepower of the Toyotas.
The big chassis dyno, these trucks after Las Vegas, and the Toyota had the most horsepower of any of the manufacturers. They also have great aerodynamics, great downforce, low drag, so it's a pretty good combination. And we've got one out front early. And we've also had some a truck on pit road. That's Eric Norris, the Pavestone Dodge. Did not complete even 1 lap, or actually 1 lap, and then came down pit road.
So early adjustments for the number 7 Dodge of Eric Norris. Side-by-side racing, Chase Montgomery on the outside, Ted Musgrave on the inside. That a battle for 10th position. We mentioned Eric Norris in pit road. Ray, what's happening with it?
Well, Rick, they thought that the shifter was broke, but it turns out there's something wrong with the transmission. It will not do anything but go into first gear, and that's no good here at Texas with high speed. They're going to the garage area to see if they can find out what the problem is. They thought it might be the linkage, but transmission problems for the 7.
We're getting a report that the window net down is on Chad Blunt's truck, the number 2 truck, Team ASA CarQuest Dodge. If that is a fact, the NASCAR will pull him in, and they will have to replace that window net. More than likely will cost him a lap doing it.
And that's one of those mistakes Bobby Hamilton made sure his team didn't make. You have to be very, very careful to do everything you can.
Well, there's a big break for the 2 truck of Chad Blunt. The caution flag is out right now. Looks like the 02 of Kelly Sutton stalled and is just now, right there's Kelly, just at the entrance to pit road. Not quite able to make it. That was an unsafe situation, so NASCAR elected to put out the caution flag. Now Chad Blunt, if his window net is down, will be able to come in under caution flag and not lose a lap, but he will lose all the track position he had because he had a pretty good qualifying effort.
What a break for Chad, like you said, Phil, because now he'll be able to come down pit road, and that would have cost him a lap by the time he stopped and the crew put the window net back up. But that's exactly the kind of error that we talked about Bobby Hamilton could not afford. A mistake like that, that's nothing but a mental error. The window nets have a safety latch on them. Once they're secure, they will not come down unless it wasn't secured before the race starts.
7 laps into this race, our first caution comes out. Kelly Sutton, again, not able to keep the Team Copaxson 02 running as it came to the front of the pit road entrance.
It'll be interesting to see if any of these trucks that started at the back, you know, we talked about Mike Skinner and Bobby Hamilton. There were actually 7 trucks that had to go to the back of the field for the start of this race. Pit road is open. It'll be interesting to see if any of those trucks elect to come in, top off a little bit with fuel so they can go a little bit farther, as we see the 2 truck of Chad Blunt come down pit road to replace his window net.
If that is in case the fact they're bringing him down pit road. So the Team ASE CarQuest Dodge, Chad Blunt, having a little work done on him. Wendy, what's happening on pits?
Well, simply the net came down. They are going to put a piece of tape to make sure it's tight. You see a bunch of trucks coming down pit road. They did top off on the 2 trucks, so that could play into fuel mileage.
Bobby Hamilton Square D Dodge comes down. They are going to put fuel in it, but Bobby screamed it is extremely loose. So they made a track bar adjustment, went down a couple of rounds there. And you see on the left side, they will put wedge into it too. So they're going to tighten up the Square D Dodge for Bobby Hamilton. Also, he gets fuel here on lap number 7.
Also on pit road, Steve Park brought the 62 down pit road. Looks like they put fuel in that 62. So we will continue with today's Silverado 350K from Texas Motor Speedway after these messages. Pace truck jets down pit road. Trucks stay out on the track. Bill Lester continues to lead the Silverado 350K at Texas Motor Speedway. Hank Parker Jr. looking to the inside early on, and problems slowing on the top side of the track.
Looks like John Wood. It is John Wood. He's got problems. You saw a truck taking evasive action there to miss him.
It makes you think on a restart, it makes you think maybe a transmission problem or something like that, doesn't it, Chad?
Yeah, it really does, especially where it happened there in turn number 1. As he's coasting around turn number 2 right now. If he can't get going, it may bring out another caution.
Bill Lester separates himself from Hank Parker Jr. John Wood creeping down the backstretch. Take a look at what happened.
See, John pulled to the outside. He started to go. Actually got hit a little bit by Travis Quapple. So he must have jumped on the throttle and went to shift gears, and nothing was there.
Travis on board camera here. Look what happens. Some little damage on his right front fender. We'll have to hope that doesn't hurt Travis's aerodynamics on his Toyota later on in the race.
A tough break for John Wood. He had a great truck, good qualifying effort, and was really optimistic for this race. They've had a bit of a struggle of the season. He's only got 1 top 5 finish, a 4th back at Martinsville, and was hoping to improve on that this race here at Texas.
Travis Quapple's 24, now 3 wide. Robert Huffman went on.
Whoa, contact right
Robert
there.
Huffman sideways trying to regain it. Travis Quapple right behind him.
That was phenomenal job by Huffman saving that truck right there. You saw it go sideways, and he said, I've had enough. I'm going to pit road.
What a terrific save by Robert Huffman. They made contact with the 17 truck of David Ruderman.
And we see someone else coming.
Huffman sideways just in front of Travis Quapple, and now that's Deborah Renfro in the 29.
That truck is blowing up, and you see the smoke. I don't see a fire yet, but she's obviously going to have a hard time breathing right there.
Caution flag is out for the 2nd time.
Renshaw takes the 29. Looks as though they're going to bring that behind the wall.
John Wood is at the entrance to pit road about where Kelly Sutton stalled, so they were going to have to bring the caution out anyway. Robert Huffman, that was probably about as good a save as you can make right there, wasn't it, Chad?
You know, and to have the in-car camera when it was going on right there, I tell you what, that was really intense.
Look again, 3 wide. Robert Huffman makes the pass on Quapple and then loses it.
He got loose on the inside, as we so frequently see. He was on the inside of another truck that robs the rear spoiler of downforce. He got a little bit loose. Here we see it again. You watch, he drives to the inside of David Ruderman. He starts getting loose, starts chasing the truck, and turns the wheel hard to the right, saves that truck, goes down to the apron, and really did a terrific job saving that truck, because that could have been horrible to those guys behind him. This is live. This is him on the inside. Watch him on the inside. He gets sideways. They almost made a little bit of contact there, but Robert did a great job. And what was so good is when the truck finally came around, Chad, he didn't overcorrect and go to the right.
Which is really easy to do, and that's exactly what the in-car camera, Travis Quapple, was showing us. Now, if he would have snapped to the right, it would have been hard into the wall.
John Wood took his truck behind the wall, and we see Bill Lester now coming down pit road. He relinquishes the lead on lap 14.
We're going to see a number of other trucks come on pit road. Ray Dunlap.
Phil, Bill Lester said he was extremely loose. Actually, that's what we've heard on the radio all up and down pit road here. Remember, we did not have happy hour, and these guys had to adjust on these trucks early. So they're going to make a wedge adjustment down here. They're going to put gas in it. No tires, though, for the 22. What about you, Wendy?
The 46 is came down pit road. They jacked it up on the right-hand side. They're checking things out. I will update you as soon as I find out what they're working on.
Taking a peek underneath it, they've actually got jack stands under there.
They're moving the rear end housing. We've seen Ted Musgrave. You see this gentleman back here holding the tape measure? They're moving the rear end housing. We saw Ted Musgrave do that a number of times. He actually won a race at Fontana last year by moving the rear end housing, but that's what they're doing. Chad, this is the first time they ever had an impound situation here at Texas. They've always had a happy hour. This is the first race they did not have a happy hour in the history of this speedway.
And Phil, you know, if you move the rear end housing forward, it generally tightens the truck up. Move it back, and it's going to free the truck up.
So they make an adjustment on Dennis Setzer's number 46, and he leaves pit road. He will go to the back of the longest line, but still remain on the lead lap.
Practice yesterday was over at 11:30 in the morning, so they're probably seeing higher track temperatures than they ever saw during practice. That may be why a lot of these trucks are so loose. As the track heats up, they lose grip.
And we had a new track record set by Mike Skinner yesterday during qualifying, so the track is definitely fast.
He had a lot of grip yesterday morning, yesterday for qualifying, but right now maybe not as much grip as they had.
Lap 16, we restart our race for the second time. Our new leader, Hank Parker Jr. in the number 21.
And we saw in the race analysis that the pit window for these trucks is a pretty broad range from 55 to 70. Well, some of the manufacturers don't get as good a fuel mileage as some of the others. The Fords typically get the best fuel mileage. Some of the crew chiefs in the garage area told me that they could run over 70 laps on fuel. Some of the Dodges said they could barely run 55 laps. So that's why such a disparity in the distance for the pit window.
Hank Parker Jr. becoming our second leader of this race, and this is the first laps Hank Parker Jr. has led all season long.
That truck team has been getting better and better and better. Airbest came on board a few races ago to sponsor this truck. George Dibadar, Innovative Motorsports. They've got Robert Huffman is the team truck to this. Robert had a great truck. We saw him do a terrific job saving that truck from possible disaster. But Hank Jr.'s truck has been getting better and better and better.
I'll tell you who's strong right now is that 15 truck, Shane Meal. He's all over the back of Hank Parker Jr. and I can tell right now he's a little quicker the way his truck's turning in the center of the corner. It's just the guy in the front gets such better downforce from clean air until that second place truck can get around him. It's hard to pass.
Wendy.
You saw Dennis Setzer did come in. His truck has been loose at the beginning of the race, so they did come in and move that rear end housing. A little bit of miscommunication, though. They did not realize there was one lap to go when they came down pit road. So you see Dennis Setzer has a lot of track space to make up to get back up there. Those kind of mistakes cannot happen at this point in the season with a championship contending team.
Remember we talked about Bobby Hamilton going to the back of the pack to start this race. When the green flag dropped, Dennis Setzer was our point leader because he was starting in the 8th position. Well, now Dennis Setzer's all the way at the very back of the pack, currently being shown in the 32nd position, and Bobby Hamilton, our point leader, is being shown in the 15th position. So Bobby Hamilton is back in the point lead.
And holding on to the lead at Texas Motor Speedway is Hank Parker Jr. Shane Meal sits in second. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to Fort Worth, Texas. Hank Parker Jr. in that Airvest 21 Toyota out in front. Wendy, how's he running?
Hank Parker Jr. came over the radio and thanked his crew for giving him an awesome truck today. They responded, that's our job. Hank's truck is a little loose when he gets trucks right behind him, so it's a good thing he's walking away from our second place guy, Shane Meal.
Hank Parker Jr. has put almost 0.8 of a second between himself and Shane Meal right now.
The Toyotas have been awfully good here. We've got 3 of the Toyotas right now in the top 5. There's a 23 of Johnny Benson. He's being shown in the 4th position. So look at Shane Meal right there. That's David Starr's on board. Looking forward at Shane Meal in the 2nd position.
And our most recent winner from California, Todd Bodine, claimed his first victory in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series 2 weeks ago at California. He has moved into the top 5, so it's very competitive.
Rick, he started 22nd, and he's already up into the top 5. That was the fastest truck. If you average all the lap times during second practice yesterday, that was the fastest truck. He didn't get a great qualifying run, but he's got an extremely fast truck. Ray?
Phil, if I'd have won at California, I'd have taken that truck back to the shop and put a tarp over it, but not Mike Hillman. The crew chief on Todd Bodine's truck said we weren't good enough to lap the field, so they cut the nose and the hood off of this truck and put new parts on it. He said we wanted to make it a little bit better downforce. I could not believe they adjusted on a truck that went to victory lane, but Mike said it wasn't good enough to lap the field, and that's not good enough for me.
Robert Huffman, earlier we showed as he passed Travis Kvapil, got sideways next to David Rudiman. Well, his woes haven't ended. This was during break just moments ago with Robert Huffman.
See, again, on the inside of the 63 truck of Chris Wimmer, got loose again, extremely loose. Chris Wimmer's moving up to give him some room. It took him the entire corner to try to catch the back end of that truck right there. So Robert Huffman has got an extreme loose situation in traffic.
Luckily, there's a lot of grooves at this racetrack, too, and we saw the 8 truck there of Chase Montgomery in that picture. He was smart enough to back out of the throttle a little bit, or would have had 3 trucks up on the wall.
Robert Huffman currently being scored in 22nd position.
You saw him drive a very straight line into the corner. When your truck is really loose like his is, you're not able to really arc the truck into the corner like you would really want to. He's got to drive in the corner a little bit straighter than Chase Montgomery, because as you try to arc the truck in the corner, that's when you lose the back end. And he's obviously got enough problems with the truck being loose.
This also a track where very rarely are they off the accelerator. Now with a loose truck, are you feathering that a little bit more?
Oh, without a doubt. There's no way he's able to run wide open, especially when he's side by side with another truck, when you're going to get really loose. There's a 2 truck right there of Chad Blunt, his first ever career start. The 14 truck of Rick Crawford, that's a battle for the 11th position. Chad just took that over from Rick Crawford.
And Chad Blunt had the unfortunate problem of the window net coming down, but it worked out for him because the caution came out. Now Chad Blunt is all the way up to 12th.
Got the break of a caution right at the right time, because like we talked about, if he would have had to come in under green and the team would have secured the window net, it would have cost him at least a lap, and he wouldn't be up there in 11th place. So good break for him.
Currently running 13th, Terry Cook in the Power Stroke Diesel, number 10, trying to move into the top 10. So the Power Stroke Diesel number 10 of Terry Cook running well at Texas Motor Speedway. Welcome back to the Silverado 350K on Speed Channel. Hank Parker Jr. continues to lead as he now goes by the start-finish line. Coming up to the start-finish line for lap 23 that he has led.
There's our pole sitter, Mike Skinner, all the way from the back of the pack into the top 10 right now. And also made a pit stop to top off with fuel, too. So Mike Skinner's in a pretty good position right now. He's about 8 seconds behind our leader, Hank Parker Jr., but he's already made a pit stop to top off, and he's back into the top 10.
Our points race with Bobby Hamilton. We documented he went to the back because of an engine change. He's made his way up to 13th position, and so Bobby Hamilton reeling in that top spot, but also points racing still.
You know, I think right now, as far as points racing goes, he knows he's in a pretty comfortable position. His truck's full of fuel, and he's already pitted once. They tightened it up a little bit. He felt loose. So really that early caution helped him and Skinner out as they both are fighting up in the top 10.
There's Mike Skinner right now. We've talked about him being in the 10th position. Well, he's already passed 2 more trucks since we talked about him. He moved into the 8th position. Bobby Hamilton right there in the 13th position. You see on the right of your screen, there's Ted Musgrave, the 1 truck, and David Rudum, that's 9th and 10th. They were the trucks that Mike Skinner was just able to get by here a few moments ago.
So the 2 trucks we mentioned earlier in the show, Mike Skinner, Bobby Hamilton starting at the back, making their way up to the front. 1 truck that has made a lot of moves has been the 75 of David Starr. Wendy, what's happening with David?
David Starr's crew chief Dave McCarty told me this morning they were not as good today as they were last year at Texas. He said he hates this place, but David Starr, the sentimental favorite, is running 3rd right now. His truck is a little free, and they do plan on coming in on the next caution.
with David Starr. Had a pretty good qualifying run. Started 5th. He's made his way up to 3rd after a pit stop.
Trying to moving by some of the lap trucks. That was J.R. Patton, the 67 truck David just got by.
Trying to stay in contact with that 15 of Shane Meal. Doesn't want to get separated. 2 trucks obviously will run faster than one on its own at a track the size of Texas Motor Speedway. As you had mentioned earlier, they reach speeds upwards of 190 miles an hour on the straightaways.
We heard David Starr right there. He had to back off the throttle here. Again, we're in a race situation. We're 40 laps into this race. They're not running wide open all the way around the racetrack anymore. They're having to pedal a little bit.
Guy that's been pedaling his way around this track and doing a great job. Started 20th today. Has made his way up into the top 10. That's 6 of Matt Crafton. Ray, what's happening with Matt?
Well, he's just a little bit free coming off the corner there, but Wally Rogers, his crew chief, said they'll make a quick adjustment for him. They are a bit worried, though. If this race continues to go green for a long period here, they may have to pit under green. Remember, a number of trucks did come down pit road on lap 14 for a splash of fuel, but not these guys. Now, Crafton is driving chassis number 08 today. He said it's his favorite in the stable. But if you're watching at the top of the show, I talked to Matt about losing his job this week. Of course, it's for the end of the year. And Ron Hornaday will be the driver of this Goodwrench Chevy next year. They announced that yesterday at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So Wally Rogers said to me he was extremely surprised by this big change. They really believed that Matt and he had come together very well with this team. They thought they were going to get a big win at Vegas. It did not happen. But the last 4 races have been really disastrous for these guys. So basically what they believe today is a top 5 finish is a moral victory for the 6th truck.
I think that announcement surprised everyone. Matt Crafton has 13 top 10 finishes in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and loses his ride.
His truck is owned by Kevin Harvick, and Kevin said that Matt is an extremely consistent, good top 10 runner. He said we're looking to try to be a top 5 team in some wins. And a guy like Ron Hornaday, if there's anybody who can do it, he can.
I think, what that shows you guys is exactly how competitive the Truck Series is. The sponsors, the team owners are always looking for a little bit more magic, and sometimes a change, unfortunate for the driver, sometimes the change is what's needed to propel the team into victory lane. Now, what Crafton needs to do is turn that into a positive. He's a young driver. He's very capable of winning at any level, so he turns this into a positive, and he'll be all right.
David Starr looking for a positive at Texas Speedway, and he gets into the back of Shane Meal. Meal having to check up and goes to the high side of the track.
I don't think Shane's
letting him know he is not happy at all with that. David Starr trying to take over the number 2 spot from Meal, and now Meal tucks in behind him, but we'll keep our eye on this battle because Shane Meal, I'm sure, doesn't think that's over.
No, there's Johnny Benson, the 23 truck, moving right in. That was a purely accidental on David Starr's part. I'm sure he would have liked to have got up there, loosened up Shane Meal to be able to get by, but he did not mean to hit him. Well, let's take a look right here. You see David Starr gets such a great run through the center of the corner and just literally runs in the back of him. Didn't make a great deal of contact, but enough to get him up out of the groove. Shane wasn't real happy about that, as nobody would be, Chad.
No, it looked to me, I don't know if Shane was pushing at that point right there, or maybe David, just like you said, Phil, got a great run, but regardless, there was definitely contact right there. Listen, this is an inboard truck camera. Listen, boom, a little contact right there. You see, it doesn't take a lot. It didn't even put a mark on Shane's bumper, but how sideways it got his truck.
Shane Meal drops back to 3rd position in the Chevy number 15. Ray?
Hey, Rick, a couple of weeks ago, of course, Shane Meal was in victory lane at Las Vegas. That was a pretty incredible feat there. And on that day, we said in victory lane that we would be able to tell you in just a few weeks what Shane Meal's plans would be next year. He will not be back to this 15 truck for sure. I don't know if you've looked at the stickers that are on that truck today, but that might be a little indication of what the future holds for Shane Meal next year.
Good battle shaping up for the lead right there. There's, Terry Cook, unfortunately, going into the garage area.
Side by side for the lead. David Starr on the inside. Hank Parker Jr. on the outside. Starr, the crowd favorite in Texas, takes over the top spot from Hank Parker Jr.
Hank said, he caught me. I'm going to let him go. Down the backstretch, he eased off the throttle, let David drive down the corner way early in the race here. No sense in pushing the issue.
What we're starting to see right here is the guys whose tires are their trucks are set up more for long runs. We're well into a run right now. David Starr's truck is obviously set up better than these other guys for long runs, and he's showing his muscle.
Terry Cook had problems. Power Stroke diesel, and he goes into the garage, and It doesn't look like he will continue today at Texas. Let's take a closer look at the Premier Division of NASCAR in our Nextel Cup update.
6 races to go on the Nextel chase for the Cup. Kurt Busch with a 29-point lead on Dale Earnhardt Jr. But look at down at 8th through 10th, over 232 points behind 8th through 10th in only 4 races.
And also we're going to hear this week about Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s appeal to his 25-point penalty for saying a bad word a couple races ago. And right now we're under caution here in the truck race.
Trucks have slowed. NASCAR letting us know that there is reported fluid on the track. And so they bring out the 3rd caution of the day.
I think we'll see all the trucks on pit road here. We'll see if we can see what caused this caution flag. We're getting reports that maybe Brandon Witt made some contact with a wall. Here's Brandon coming off turn number 2. Got close to the wall. It didn't look like he made any contact, though.
I didn't see any contact either, Phil. Just a little close, but
that's racing.
That's the idea. You're supposed to get close.
You get close every time you come off the corner. But we are hearing there was some fluid on the racetrack. I think we're going to see all the trucks on pit road.
Oh, and chain
reaction.
Yeah, letting him know I didn't appreciate that little bump earlier. Wendy.
David Starr, our leader, makes his way down pit road as Shane Meal pulls into his spot. They reminded the team to relax, just like we do it in pit stop practice as they go around to the right-hand side of David Starr's truck. His truck has been a little free on entry, so they're going to make an air pressure and wedge adjustment. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Todd Bodine brings his Germain Toyota in. The number 30 will go up 1 round on the track bar to try to loosen him up just a little bit. Just about everybody else was loose, so they're going to try to tighten up Matt Craft, and they do that with air pressure. They do left side tires. The 6 is down and away, but looks like David Starr will be the first off pit road.
Great job by Dave McCarty's crew. We see an errant tire on the grass there. That probably will result in a penalty for somebody.
Looks like the Menards team coming out to claim it. That was Tracy Hines that was in.
That's always embarrassing, running out there to get your tire. It's like, okay, whose is that? Let's wait and see.
It's not mine. It's not mine. Let's take a look at what happened coming down pit road. Our leader, David Starr, our Chevy Silverado pace truck. Watch the camera there. You see David Starr pulling off onto pit road. Watch Shane Meal drive up and said, David, you remember when you hit me on the racetrack? I didn't like it.
But you know, Phil, although he's upset with that, that's not a real smart thing to do right there, because that's when you can really damage your grill, and you can't afford any aerodynamic problems at a track like Texas.
Well, let's take a look at the camera inside the Chevy Silverado pace truck. One truck stays out on the track. The 07 of Andy Houston right behind the pace truck. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to the Big Texas Silverado 350K. We're live on Speed Channel. Our 3rd round of pit stops have just taken place, and it's been an interesting round at that.
Here's the race off pit road. You see, that's the line. David Starr with a comfortable margin. Watch the 5 truck on the inside, Mike Skinner. You see how slow he's going? Well, there was Matt Craft in the 6 truck, Carl Edwards in the 99 truck. By virtue of the fact that he got the pole, he was able to pick whatever pit stall he wanted. He picked the very first one. He was able to get to that line before those other guys. There's a loose tire on pit road. That's from the 88 truck of Tracy Hines. Johnny Benson, the 23 Toyota, barely avoids that tire. Here's Travis Quappel. When he gets done with his pit work, he's blocked in. He has to back up. That costs him precious seconds on pit road.
And having to back up could be possibly when he got in, he was at a bad angle, and also the truck in front of him may have been pinching off his exit from his pit stall. Great crowd on hand for today's 350K from Texas. We'll be back with more Green Flag Racing after this. Welcome back. We've completed 1 lap under green flag, and we're on board with David Starr.
And a lot happened in that 1 lap. Here's a restart. You see the 75 Spears truck on the outside. That's David Starr, our leader. Right behind him, Mike Skinner. Great pit work. See him look to the inside. He's going to make the move on the inside. He's going to drive by David Starr in turn 1 and 2 to take over the lead. Pole sitter all the way from the back of the pack to the lead.
And look who's following right through that hold. Matt Crafton. Oh, we have an accident in turn number 2.
Crafton gets into the wall in turn number 2.
Flatten the right side of that truck. See
some
damage on the left front as well.
Damage on the left front. It makes you think that maybe there was some contact that caused him to go up the racetrack and get into the outside wall. What a tough break for Matt Crafton.
You know, that's a shame after hearing that he's going to lose that ride for next year, and his truck was really strong. We saw him fighting up there in second place.
See if we can take a look at what happened to Matt Crafton. You see all the damage on the left side. You see a tire mark right behind that tire, in addition to the damage in front of that wheel. See if we can take a look at what happened to Matt there. There he is side by side with the 15. Shane got loose on the bottom of the racetrack, just like we saw earlier with Robert Huffman. The truck on the inside gets loose. Shane had to chase it up the hill. Matt was there. Here we're going to see it again. Watch Shane get loose. He's going to chase it up the hill there to try to save that truck. He hits Matt in the left front corner, puts him in the outside wall. What a tough break for Matt Crafton.
Here we are on board with David Starr to see what his view was of this accident. You see aerodynamically, Shane got loose. Slid up into Matt. It opens the door for the 75 truck to go underneath as we see the team getting ready to make the repairs that they need.
Disappointing middle of the race for Matt Crafton. Had a very strong truck, was all the way up to third. When he has problems, Shane Meal gets into him, hits the wall in turn number 2. Mike Skinner's out in front of this one. We'll be back with more.
Welcome back to the Silverado 350K at Texas Motor Speedway. You see Shane Meal is in the pits. His team's working on the right-hand side of the truck from that accident. They did not hit the wall, but they felt like that fender was going to rub the tire. They have not changed the tire yet. They're just hammering it out, and the team is assessing the damage on the right-hand side. Still no tires on Shane Meal's truck. Ray?
Yeah, I just wanted to update you on Matt Crafton. They do have that Goodwrench Chevy on pit road right now. They're doing some work on that. Now, most of the damage was to the left front tire. Now, they do want to make sure they put tires on here and get that fender pulled back out. They've done that work. This is the second time they've been to pit road. They keep their eye on the pace truck. They continue to work. They're also working on the right rear of that truck.
All that work being done because of the contact between Shane Meal and Matt Crafton.
See if we can take a look at, again, what caused this accident here. You see, this is David Starr's onboard. Shane Meal was on the inside of Matt Crafton. He got a little bit loose. He had to chase his truck up the hill. Matt was right there. They made contact and forced Matt into the outside wall, as you see Matt returning to the racetrack. Shane Meal had quite a bit of damage to the right front corner of that truck where it got into Matt Crafton's left front corner. Very, very critical part of the truck, so that's why they spent so much time repairing it.
Well, tomorrow on Fox at 8 p.m. Eastern, it's the season premiere of The Simpsons. Homer, his family, and friends from Springfield return for another season of laughs only on Fox. The Simpsons season premiere tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. Randy Kaiser pacing the field around this 1.5 mile quad oval, the Chevy Silverado pace truck. Mike Skinner has been our pole sitter. Because of an engine change, he went to the back of the field. With a great pit stop, he moved up to second, and then he took over the top spot on the restart. And so Mike Skinner has worked his way to the front of the pack.
Now, I just want to point out, that we know that Crafton's damage is probably pretty significant getting to the outside wall, but I believe Shane's is cosmetic enough where they got it pulled out. His truck is still fast enough. His day's not over. I expect to see him work his way back up to the field.
We're only 64 laps into this race. 146 make up the distance, so all these trucks will have to make another pit stop. So Shane Meal can probably get caught back up with the field on the next round of pit stops and not really lose all that much other than a little bit of track position.
Mike Skinner gets into the accelerator as the green flag flies once again.
We've got a bunch of Toyotas up front. First, second, fourth right now. Johnny Benson, the 23 Toyota, in fourth. Sandwiches David Starr, the 75 Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. There's Todd Bodine, the 30 truck right there, the Jermaine Arnold Motorsports Toyota. He takes a peek to the inside of Mike Skinner. Not able to do anything with him yet.
I talked to Todd in the driver's meeting this morning, and Todd had one of those eyes, look in his eyes when I asked him how good your truck. He gave me one of those smiles that said, it's really, really good.
Well, once you taste victory lane, I'm guessing that Todd Bodine has that confidence now that he can take his truck anywhere on the track.
Well, Todd Bodine, he's a multi-winner in the Busch Series, very competitive Nextel Cup driver over the years. So Todd Bodine has a lot of talent. Mike Hillman, Nextel Cup crew chief right now with Germain Motorsports. So they know what they're doing. They came right out of the box, did a great job. They've been in the top 5 3 out of the 4 races they've run since they came into the Truck Series, and there's a lot more of that to come. Side by side for the lead.
Here goes Todd Bodine on the inside of Mike Skinner, crossing the start-finish line, and Todd Bodine becomes our 6th different leader of this race.
I told you they knew what they were doing, Rick.
You know what I noticed there too is after he took the lead, you see the way the 30 truck of Todd Bodine arced it down into turn number 1. That tells me his truck is real stable underneath it because he's able to arc it.
3 wide for 6th right there.
On the inside, Jack Sprague makes the pass on the 21 of Hank Parker Jr. David Rudiman on the outside. That's 2 Toyotas that have moved back.
Oh, little contact right there.
A little more contact. Looked like Hank got in the back of the 17 of David Rudiman.
Oh, here goes Chad Blunt in the number 2, the Team ASE CarQuest number 2 across the infield, and he makes his way out in front of the track. Allen contact. That's the 03 of Denny Hamlin. Bumped into the 2 of Chad Blunt. Blunt trying to keep the truck going.
I think this was probably a result of the contact that Hank Parker Jr. made with David Rudiman. It seized the entire field up. It's a chain reaction situation, and Chad Blunt unfortunately got the worst of it.
He did a good job of keeping his steering wheel turned to the left there as he spun out through the grass, or it would have snapped back to the right even harder.
And there goes the tire, and that's going to continue to make more damage on that Team ASE CarQuest Dodge.
He had a great run going too. It's unfortunate, but a lot of damage when the tire comes apart like that.
Let's look back at what may have started this chain reaction.
See Hank Jr., the 21 truck, middle of your screen. He makes some contact right there with David Rudiman, gets him sideways. Now that seizes up Hank. The 2 truck just got a little bit loose. He might have clipped the grass with his left side tires, and that got him a little bit loose. He was side by side with his teammate Ted Musgrave. Slid back to the outside of the racetrack and got a little bit of a shot there to the rear of the truck. There's another view of it. There's the contact that started this. Watch the 2 on the inside. He clips the grass. It turns him around.
Well, he was into the grass at the same time he made contact with his teammate, and it just lost traction.
And Musgrave had to come down because he saw Rudiman coming down, so there was no place for him to go, and there was no place for Chad Blunt to go.
Musgrave used him as a pick, as we're on board Setzer right here, who had a great view of the accident that just happened. Hear him get out of the throttle.
You don't stay out of the throttle long because you want to get by the accident. This is Travis Kvapil. You're going to see his view. He's going to have to do some avoiding right now. Right now his spotter's trying to tell him which way to go. Say, go high, go high.
NASCAR will blow the track off after Chad Blunt brought some dirt from that infield out onto the track, and so they'll blow the track off. And this is how it all took place for caution number 5. Chad Blunt bringing the truck back out onto the track as he took a ride across the infield. Speed Channel's popular show Pitbull is live tonight at 6:30 p.m. Joining Steve Burns from the Traveling Stage Truck will be newspaper and magazine writers for NASCAR, talking about their take on the NASCAR series. It's all NASCAR talk, and these guys will let their thoughts and opinions fly on the hottest topics. 6:30 tonight, Speed Channel. Welcome back to the Silverado 350K live on Speed Channel. Hank Parker Jr. in the 21.
Let's take another look at what caused this most recent caution flag. You see the contact between the 21 of Hank Jr., the 17 of David Rudiman. Watch on the inside. That's Chad Blunt trying to avoid the situation. Ted Musgrave was trying to avoid the 17 truck of David Rudiman. He moves down. Chad had nowhere to go, runs across the grass. It turns his truck sideways. Almost got by with no contact with Denny Hamlin. See right there, it looked like David Rudiman might even have got a little bit loose before Hank tapped him, but ever so slight contact enough to get him out of the way, but Chad Blunt really had nowhere to go.
Well, Chad took advantage of the guys slowing down a little bit from that accident, and Ted just came down as he normally would. He didn't know that the 2 truck, who happens to be his teammate, was going to close the hole so quickly, and they made contact, and he was in the grass.
We saw our former champion Travis Kvapil slide by. We're riding on board with him as Chad Blunt comes out. Oh, that was close.
Very close. And this is slow motion. At high speed, that looked even worse, I'll guarantee you, for Travis Kvapil.
Todd Bodine out in front of the field. He is our 6th different leader at Texas Motor Speedway today. And welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. We're on board with Randy Kaiser, who's piloting the Chevy Silverado pace truck, and he makes his way down pit road, and that leaves Todd Bodine out on the track as we restart this race for the 5th time. Bodine gets on the accelerator, and we are back underway.
Pretty clean restart. The drivers can only pass after the green flag is displayed, and they have to do it on the right.
Single file.
Have to just deal with one lap car right there. I was going to say, you see him going around that one lap car on the restart.
See David Starr Spears truck right there. He's currently being shown in the 3rd position. There's Johnny Benson, the 23, looks to the inside, got a great run through the center of the corner.
Side by side, Johnny Benson on the inside of David Starr, and look at the 99 Super Chips Ford of Carl Edwards also making the pass on David Starr. He had a great run following right behind Johnny Benson.
Sure did. Johnny opened up the hole, and David Starr unfortunately got passed by a couple. They're side by side for the lead again. There's Mike Skinner on the inside, Todd Bodine on the outside. Look how loose Mike Skinner got on the inside.
You know, Phil, we've seen that 2 or 3 times today when the truck gets side by side. The guy on the inside just can't get the downforce he needs, and he loses grip and gets a little sideways.
Mike Skinner, with all his experience, though, he kind of felt like that was coming, so he did not push the issue and drive right up beside of Todd. He felt it coming, got loose, but he didn't have to worry about Todd being outside of him. Wendy.
Well, I'll start with the 23 of Johnny Benson. When he came in on that round of pit stops at lap 54, he took a half a round in the right rear 4 tires, of course. He says this set of tires feels a lot better. Also with Carl Edwards, you saw him move up about 10 spots on that last caution. They took no adjustments on the 99 truck, 4 tires and fuel. They were talking about their fuel window possibly coming in and topping off on that last caution, but Cowboy Starlin, the crew chief, feels that fresh tires are going to be the key to today's race. David Starr in the 75 truck has been good, but loose but good off the corner is what he's reporting to crew chief Dave McCarty. As Dave McCarty, I'm sitting here watching him eat Tums on top of the pit box.
Well, I think I'd be eating Tums too if I was watching David Starr go around the track. This guy's flying around, and he's actually making room for himself sometimes.
And right now, all these crew chiefs are wanting feedback from the drivers. Tell me what your truck's doing so I can know what kind of adjustments to make on our last pit stop. There's our point leader, Bobby Hamilton. He's being shown in the 12th position. 2nd place in points, Dennis Setzer, 1 spot in front of him in 11th position. There's Dennis Setzer right there. You see out the back of his Chevrolet Silverado at Bobby Hamilton, our point leader. You heard him. He was out of the throttle for a long time through that corner. These guys have a number of laps on their tires, probably 20-some laps on their tires. They're just hoping to get in their pit window later on and make their final pit stop.
Phil, you see this part of their spoiler right there. That's a little bit bigger spoiler than they usually run at these tracks. NASCAR mandates that they have to run a 1-inch lip on the spoiler on the edge right here, and then also up on the top right there to help control the trucks a little bit more.
This is the only racetrack that they will run that spoiler the rest of the year. We'll also see that spoiler at Daytona next year. Look at the bonus points here. You see, we saw that Dennis Setzer is 56 points behind coming into this race, Bobby Hamilton. Bobby Hamilton has garnered 75 bonus points. Dennis Setzer only 35. That's a difference of 40 points. If the bonus points were equal, then Dennis Setzer is only 16 points behind. Bonus points are very, very critical in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
I mentioned earlier in the race, the last 8 races, Dennis Setzer has not led a lap. And you get bonus points by leading a lap and leading the most laps in NASCAR's upper 3 divisions. And so Dennis Setzer has been struggling to gain those bonus points.
He's getting ready to lose a spot right there to our point leader. Bobby Hamilton's going to make the move on the outside. Dennis is struggling right now. Danny Gill and his crew are going to have to make some more adjustments on their next pit stop. Bobby takes over the 11th position from Dennis Setzer.
You know, Phil, that's a power move right there. You see him go on the outside. And now you see Bobby testing the same outside where he just made the pass on Dennis Setzer. He's starting to run up a little bit higher.
Chad, we saw Brendan Gaughan make that groove work for him. He won 4 times in a row at this racetrack. Both races 2002, both races 2003. He ran that higher groove. Almost the only guy to do that. Bobby's using it right now.
Bobby Hamilton said he hasn't points raced all season long, but Starting with 5 races to go, he's going to points race. And he looks like he's doing a fine job of it so far at Texas Motor Speedway. Todd Bodine out in front. He wants to gain the most points today. Mike Skinner right behind him. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Silverado 350K on Speed Channels brought to you by Chevy. The winningest name in racing. An American Revolution by Aquavelva. Aquavelva keeps your face toned and fit. There's something about an Aquavelva man. And by Bombardier ATV. See the Outlander Max. Made for 1 or 2 riders. Bombardier ATV. Follow no one.
There's a great battle right there. That's the 10th position. There's 22, Bill Lester, Bobby Hamilton. Bobby was side by side with Bill Lester through 3 and 4 a lap ago. Wasn't quite able to pull off the pass. There's Dennis Setzer, second place in points, right behind our point leader, Bobby Hamilton. You know, Bobby caught Dennis so easily, drove by him on the outside, but he's not been able to get by Bill Lester, and that allowed Dennis Setzer to drive back up on his bumper.
You know what I noticed, Phil, and I think this is kind of interesting, what Bill Lester did. Bobby made a run on him on the outside. Couldn't complete it. You know what Lester did? He moved his truck up one groove and started running in the groove where Bobby was getting the most grip.
While we were away at break, the only thing that you missed was a pass by Jack Sprague on Hank Parker Jr. He took 6th away from Parker Jr., now being shown in 7th.
Jack's a former winner here at Texas. He won back in 2001. Always runs well at this racetrack. He's led 204 laps here at Texas Motor Speedway in the Craftsman Truck Series.
Points leader Bobby Hamilton just in front of Dennis Setzer.
There's Shane Meal in the 15 truck now. We document he got in a little bit of an accident at the last caution. He has moved up from about 25th or 6th place up into 14th position as he fights with the 14 truck of Rick Crawford right now. So I don't think Shane Meal's truck was damaged on the right front fender there too much, because he has really cut through the field.
See the tape flapping a little bit on the right front. Richie Waters and his guys did a great job repairing that truck. You see the tape flapping. That's not going to cause any problems, but I'm sure he would love to have the downforce that he had probably when he started this race. It must have had a little bit of an effect. You see the repairs right there. You see a lot of tape on there. They probably had to tape a panel on that truck to try to get that front downforce back where they need it.
Shane Meal's been like a pinball today. He's been bumped by David Starr. He's bumped into Matt Crafton. A lot of bumping going on today at Texas. And we see that in the truck series quite a bit.
There's Travis Kvapil, our most recent champion, 2003 champion, driving the Toyota All-Star Showdown Toyota. You'll see that right here on Speed Channel next month. What a great event. We were part of that last year. Had a great fun. We'll be in Darlington that weekend while they're out there in Irwindale, California for the Toyota All-Star Showdown.
Travis Kvapil reeling in the 15 of Shane Meal.
Shane's going to look to the outside, maybe see if he can do something with Rick Crawford on the outside. Switches back to the inside, not quite able to do anything with Rick Crawford. I think that damage has got to be hurting his front downforce a little bit, Chad.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also he's gotten to the part of the field where the trucks are more competitive. It gets more and more difficult to pass the truck in front of you. Remember, getting from 25th to 15th is one thing, but now you're up to the really strong trucks.
And when we were on board with Travis Kvapil looking ahead at Shane Meal, it looks like Shane Meal is still having problems with that truck being loose.
It does. In fact, we saw him wiggle right there a little bit. Rick, he saw it with us. I mean, he just gets a little bit loose as he drives down to the corner.
If anybody's going to stay on the gas when that truck is loose, it's going to be Shane Meal.
He's not scared.
You see Travis having to feather the throttle a little bit. These trucks have got a number of laps on these tires. They're not able to run these things wide open anymore like they were early on in the race and when they had fresh tires. Right now, this is when a driver really earns his money, when he has to scramble a little bit, maybe search around for a different groove. We saw Shane working the outside a little bit, back down to the inside. He's trying to find a place where his truck will handle the best.
It sounds as though Travis is, as you mentioned, feathering the throttle to give Shane a little bit of room, like he might be laying back a little bit, seeing that Shane's loose, maybe not wanting to get into it or get involved in any of that.
Well, he wouldn't mind getting up and getting Shane loose enough to get him out of the way. I don't think Travis Kvapil wants to sit back there and run where he is right now in the 15th position. He would love to get by both these trucks and drive away. He feels like if he could get some clean racetrack, he could probably drive away from these two trucks. He doesn't want to push the issue, but he would like to get by him.
A patient Travis Kvapil just behind Shane Meal, and now he tries to go on the inside of Shane Meal as Meal goes up high. Rick Crawford just in front of these two trucks. This is 13th, 14th, and 15th. Bobby Hamilton on the left side of the screen. We mentioned points racing for Bobby Hamilton. Well, our points leader has moved into the top 10. He's currently in 10th position, and Ted Musgrave just one spot in front of him in 9th.
2 weeks in a row, he came from the back of the pack. He went from 33rd at Las Vegas to 5th. Right now, we had to go to the back of the pack. Chad, he's all the way up into the top 10. He was able to get by Bill Lester. We saw him racing with Bill Lester. He was able to get by him. What a great season Bobby Hamilton has had.
A lot of confidence with Bobby Hamilton right now. You see his season summary right there. 4 wins, 10 top 5s. He leads all drivers in those categories.
Bobby Hamilton trying to have a great race here, and the caution has come out on the speedway. NASCAR saying debris on the track, and you normally get that from a driver saying, or multiple drivers saying, hey, there's something on the track in this corner or this straightaway.
NASCAR has a lot of spotters around the racetrack too that will look for that kind of thing. But right now we have 48 laps to go. Everyone will make a pit stop here. They'll all be in their pit window, so we won't have to worry about any pit strategy. There's a debris right there on the racetrack.
You know, Phil used to carry spare parts in his car that he would throw out the driver's window to get the caution when it was time.
I did not.
We have actually seen drivers before throwing out things like foam that would go on the roll cage.
Roll bar padding, yeah.
Inside of the trucks and cars. But this time, there's debris on the front stretch. And so that brings out caution number 6 from Texas Motor Speedway.
Chad knows about people throwing stuff out of cars, so I think we would look right there at Chad.
Well, it could have been because he was behind you, Phil.
No.
Maybe that's what it was? No?
Unfortunately, Chad was in front of me a lot. So.
Well, Todd Bodine is out in front of this one, but right behind him, a very fast truck, Mike Skinner, in that Toyota Tundra, waiting for an opportunity to get by. And Toyota having a very good showing today as the 23 of Johnny Benson currently being shown in 3rd. And here comes your leader and all the lead lap trucks following him onto pit road. Wendy?
Johnny Benson comes to a stop in his stall. They came over the radio and said, we're 50 laps to go. This is the money stop, guys. If they get this one down pat, they could put him out in the lead. A little bit slow on the right-hand side. Let's check in with Ray.
Todd Bodine, you see, comes to a stop at the top of your screen. Mike Skinner will be in the middle in his Toyota Tundra, number 5. His crew goes to work. It's Ryan Langley on the front tires, Chad Rainey on the rears. Steve Hill is the jack man. Jimmy Sprinkle does the gas for these guys. They get around to the left side. They go to work. Everything seems smooth so far. You see for Bodine, he leaves his pit now. He's got a long way to go. Mike Skinner will be off pit road first. It looks like Carl Edwards will beat Todd Bodine to the line.
Another tire out in the grass.
That coming out of Brandon Witt's stall, I believe. The first stall on pit road. Tough trucks, tough racing from Texas Motor Speedway. There's been some bumping and banging going on all day. Guys trying to grab it as the back end slides out. We'll be back with more bumping and banging after this.
To get your race truck set up just right, you have to have a perfectly level set of scales. Now, a scale pad is very much like a race car. On all 4 corners, there's a screw jack like this one, and you can raise or lower this bolt to get your scale pad exactly level. Now, once the first one's level, how do you get the other 3 level to it? You pull out your Craftsman Torpedo laser level, like this one right here. What's cool about this machine is it's adjustable, and it shows you in 2 places if you've got this thing just right. And once you do, your information gets shot all the way down there, and I can see exactly where this is level to that one, and I can raise it up or down.
I turn this machine over here, and now my dot shows me where this scale pad is. You can set up your whole scale pad in a matter of just minutes.
Carl Edwards having a good pit stop, but possibly maybe penalized because that tire that we saw came out onto the grass, the infield grass, may have come from his pit stall.
We see the tire rolling across pit road down there. We're not sure exactly what happens. Sometimes another truck will knock the wheel out of a tire carrier's hand, and they would not penalize the truck for that. So obviously we're getting ready to restart this race, so they deemed that Carl Edwards was not a problem. This is another tire. We've had a litany of tires roll across pit road here. There's another one that was it's turn one side of pit road right there.
You know, I think those tires have a mind of their own. They're just wandering away from those trucks.
And we saw Brandon Witt come out. That first tire that we saw, Brandon Witt came out, and it looked as though that tire was behind Brandon Witt when he came out onto or off of pit road. So Mike Skinner's out in front, and Carl Edwards, who's currently third in points, sits second behind him as Randy Kaiser takes the pace truck off of the racing facility, and the 30 of Todd Bodine in third, Johnny Benson fourth, and David Starr in fifth as the green flag comes out.
Great pit work by Mike Skinner's bunch. John Monson-led crew gets Mike out with the lead. Todd Bodine came in first, came out third. Good work by Carl Edwards to come out second. There's David Starr. He's being shown in the fifth position. Right in front of him, Johnny Benson, the number 23 Toyota.
Now we've got about 45 laps left in this race. You guys, these trucks have all fresh tires. They're ready to go. So this is the best that they're going to be for the drivers of this time.
What they have right now is what they're going to try to end this race on. Todd Bodine wants to end it in front of Carl Edwards. Also coming down, that's Johnny Benson, almost on the inside of Carl Edwards as he closed the door.
Johnny Benson got on his brakes right there. He saw that if he Carl and him would have made contact, and it would have been a wreck for sure.
That's a good experience move right there. Johnny Benson, a great deal of experience, former Nextel Cup winner, Busch Series champion, a lot of experience, does a great job in this Toyota truck.
Carl Edwards will probably thank him later for that.
Carl Edwards, big hit. That was Bill Lester, I believe, in the 22. Bill Lester hits hard. Travis Kvapil goes down pit road. David Rudiman and Chad Chaffin also involved. Bill Lester's truck comes to a stop just in front of the grandstands.
David Rudiman made contact with the inside wall. There was nobody standing on pit road. I looked up, saw it. David Rudiman hit the inside pit wall. There was nobody standing there, as I don't think we'll have no injuries from the pit crewman.
Bill Lester's number 22 truck came sliding down in front of us, and I could see Bill Lester's hand, his right hand, moving as he was sliding down in front of us.
We've got serious damage on Bill Lester and David Rudiman's truck. Let's keep our fingers crossed for these drivers.
Bill Lester hit very hard. They were coming out of turn number 4. We just caught a glimpse of Bill Lester hitting the wall, as did the 17 of David Rudiman. Also involved was the 18 of Chad Chaffin.
The 67 of J.R. Patton is sitting on the infield grass just off of turn number 4.
Red flag has come out on the track, stopping all of the trucks in turn number 3. And so the safety crews are dealing with multiple trucks around the track. We will be back and give you an update on these drivers right after these messages. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. We're still under red flag conditions on this 1.5 mile, very fast speedway. Moments ago, Bill Lester was able to climb out of the 22 Toyota on his own power and walk to the ambulance. And so very good news that Bill Lester okay with that very hard hit. J.R. Patton, they're dealing with that truck. He's been able to get out of his truck as well. One other driver, David Rudiman, still in the 17 NTN Toyota. And so the safety crews continue to deal with David Rudiman in that truck. We're under red flag conditions. The trucks have come to a stop in turn number 3. We'll allow the safety crews to keep working on this situation, and we'll be back to update you on David Rudiman's condition. Safety crews continue to work diligently on the 3 trucks that came to rest in front of the grandstands. David Rudiman's number 17 NTN Bearings Toyota now being put up on the record. David Rudiman was taken out of his truck. He was conscious and was put into the ambulance. They're taking him now to the Infield Care Center. Again, J.R. Patton was able to get out of his truck and went to the ambulance under his own power, as did Bill Lester in the number 22 Toyota. And this is a testament to the safety equipment now on these vehicles as we take a look at what happened to bring out this red flag.
Look at the 22 truck right there gets loose on the inside, Phil. Slides sideways and makes contact with Rudiman, sending him nowhere but to the outside wall.
Yeah, Chad, as Rick mentioned, the safety paraphernalia, the head and neck restraints these drivers have. There's another view of it. Watch, he pulls up on the inside, gets loose on the bottom of the racetrack. We've seen it happen so many times. He takes the front end of David Rudiman's truck. They both make hard contact with the safer walls. That's what's critical is that all these racetracks now are installing safer barriers. That's where they hit. That would help. All the head and neck restraint systems help. The headrests in the trucks help. I tell you, I would have hated to see what would have happened 5 years ago with impacts like these drivers take. Watch this real time there. See him, watch him turn dead right, 45-degree angle, and made hard contact with the outside wall.
And that is, no kidding, that's contacted probably 140 miles an hour into a concrete wall.
I was just going to say, Chad, you can't get a true feeling of how fast these vehicles are going around this track until you see something like this happen. This happened so fast. We had seen it before. Bill Lester got loose, went right up into David Rudiman, and there was nothing either driver could do.
I'll tell you, a number of these drivers, Shane Meal, the 15, the 18, as you saw sliding through the infield grass, did terrific jobs not to hit him. You see David make contact with the inside wall. He had no control over his truck, no brakes, no steering. There's Travis. Watch these trucks come off that wall. Travis goes down pit road to avoid the accident. Great job by a lot of these drivers not making this situation worse.
Red flag conditions continue. All of the trucks are parked in turn number 3, giving the safety crews enough room and time to do their jobs. Their fellow competitors make sure that they are okay, get them out of their vehicles, get them to the Infield Care Center as quickly as possible.
Saw a shot of Robert Huffman's truck right there. He obviously got into part of that situation there. He had a lot of damage to the right side of his truck, so he was also involved, but he was able to stay going around the racetrack. That's why we didn't see him here at the accident site.
You know, what a testament, like you guys spoke of just a second ago, to the safety, because that right there is one of the hardest hits I've ever seen. I mean, when you're full throttle coming out of turn 4 and you hit the wall at a 30 to 45-degree angle, that is a hard, like, it's a head neck restraints, it's the safer wall, and we're hearing reports right now that they may have trouble with the safer walls because of that violent impact.
Well, they're going to have to fix it, is the situation, because what that is that styrofoam that's behind a steel wall, and that styrofoam is there to give so that when a truck does hit it in the angle that it just hit it, that styrofoam gives instead of the driver or the truck giving.
And we could see where it gave. You could see obviously place in that wall where it gave, and it took a lot of the energy from that truck instead of transferring that energy from that wall to inside the truck. That wall took a lot of the energy, and that was what allowed Bill Lester to walk away from that truck, and hopefully David Rudiman be in the same situation.
Safety crews and track officials now looking over that situation, and you can see the bow in the wall right where contact was made, and you can see the tire marks where those were hit.
Look at look at the angle right here. This is what we're talking about. There's the skid marks and there's the wall. So it's that angle right there that the impact was made. That's a severe, severe angle.
Here's what Chad's talking about. That's what hurts so bad is the angle here. You see the angle that they hit that wall. You see David Rudiman and Bill Lester make such terrific contact with the outside wall because of the angle. That was probably the worst place to hit the wall because you're almost looking straight at the wall anyway. You see him looks like a 45-degree angle that they're going to hit the wall, and that's the same kind of angle that you would hit when you blow a tire at that part of the racetrack. But it was just the way that Bill Lester made contact with David Ruderman. It sent both of them going into the wall at that angle, and that's when you get the real hard contact with the right front part of the vehicles.
More officials now on hand to take a look at that safer barrier. They will want to make sure that it is perfectly safe before we restart this race. In case something would happen where another accident would take place in that one area, they want to make sure that that wall is safe for another contact if it would happen.
Watching Bill Lester get out of that truck and walk to the ambulance, I mean, what a testament that is to NASCAR and all these racetracks. For you see them getting some new styrofoam. They're going to repair this wall here, but what a testament to what changes have been made in this sport over the last few years to try to avoid serious injuries. I raced for a number of years, 20 years. I never had any kind of head and neck restraint system. I do some testing nowadays, and I will not get in the vehicle without a head and neck restraint, because it's been proven time and time again that your chances of surviving something like this without injuries are so much better. That's why NASCAR mandates every one of these drivers wear some sort of a head and neck restraint system. And Bill Lester, David Ruderman will thank NASCAR for that here today.
Taking care of the oil dry and different things going on with the track. We'll be back with more from Texas Motor Speedway. Welcome back to Fort Worth, Texas and Texas Motor Speedway. The track officials working on the wall just outside of turn 4. They will put some styrofoam back behind those walls. What they need right now is they're bringing out a machine that will pull the wall out because it has been pushed back in. They'll pull the wall out and put the styrofoam back in. Phil, I think we can talk to a couple of the drivers that are now currently sitting in turn 3.
Yeah, let's talk to Johnny Benson, the number 23 truck. Johnny Benson, Phil Parsons, can you hear me, buddy?
Up on that list. Phil, what's going on? You guys having fun up there or what?
Well, we were having a great time watching you guys till that hard contact right there. I'm sure you guys got red flag. I don't even know if you got able to come around to see those trucks. Pretty hard contact, but fortunately, Bill Lester walked away and David Ruderman was conscious. But pretty testament to NASCAR with all these safety innovations in the last few years, Johnny.
Well, it sure has been. You know, but the seats are always getting better. The cars and trucks are always getting better, and the safety barrier obviously is something that we'd like to see at every racetrack, and I'm sure they're going to, and hopefully it did its job today. But we didn't make it around there to see them, but we stopped back here. But we heard from the spotters. It was pretty big, so like I say, we'll stop back there and let them guys do the work and get to our competitors.
Well, Johnny, speaking more specifically about your day, you've been in the top 5 since the drop of the green flag. You got something for those 3 guys in front of you?
No, Mike Skinner and Tom Bodine there, man, those guys cruise. They're pretty quick at the start. And I'm not quite as good there at the start. I seem to be okay once we get some laps. So we're going to see if there's enough laps for us to get up here. I mean, all the guys doing a tremendous job. The Toyota engine runs pretty good, so we'll see what we can do here.
All right, Johnny, you're always up in the top 10 with that truck. 5 out of the 8 races you've been in the top 10. So get another one, maybe even a top 5 or a W.
I tell you what, Phil, we're definitely looking for that W. So if we do that, you come down, bring Rick with you, and we'll have a good time. And, we'll see what we can do up here.
All right, Johnny, good luck. Be careful.
All right, guys.
We saw just in front of Johnny Benson the 99 of Carl Edwards, and we can also talk to Carl. Chad?
Carl Edwards, how are you doing down there in the 99 truck? You got a copy?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm sure glad Super Chips wanted a white truck because we're sitting here in the sun and it's nice and comfortable.
Well, you probably saw that violent wreck there in turn number 2. We know that David Ruderman is conscious, and the other 2 drivers, J.R. Patton and Lester, walked away. So that was good to see. And right now they're repairing the wall. How's your truck running? We saw you had a great pit stop the last stop.
Yeah, it's great to see those guys are okay. This place is a pretty scary place, but man, my crew is unbelievable. They've really stepped it up. We've got just a great bunch of guys, and I mean, that's just so neat to go in and come out 6 or 8 spots forward every time. They're making my job easy.
Well, Carl, I got to ask you about the Cup race that's scheduled to start at 7:30 tonight. Do you have anybody standing by for you with this red flag? It's going to make your the logistics of getting you to Charlotte awful tight.
Yeah, luckily we've got Dave Blaney standing by, and he's an unbelievable race car driver. He was 7th in practice last night. I think he'll give Canteen Vending a pretty good showing up there if I don't make it. But that car is so good, I want to get there. So hopefully we get this underway and have a good, safe race and get over there to Charlotte.
Well, good luck to you. You're sitting in 3rd right now, and you've got a strong truck. Hopefully we'll see you in Victory Lane, and you'll make it to Charlotte for that race on time.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I don't know if I'm going to have time for a bathroom break. I'm a little worried that airplane, I don't know if it's got much for facilities, so I'm trying to work that out with my crew right now.
Well, I would think that they could stop off at a porta potty or something on his way to the helicopter.
He doesn't have time to stop. He's got to get to Charlotte. He's got another race to run tonight. He doesn't have time to stop.
They can go a little bit faster on the jet maybe or something.
You know, what's more important,
talking
the man
20
going to the
seconds here.
bathroom or the race? You got to set your priorities.
Yeah. Well, Carl Edwards looking to do the double, and with this accident, it makes it a little more difficult as the safety crews and track officials continue to work on the wall, and that is the point where David Rudiman and Bill Lester made contact with that wall, and we've heard from the NASCAR officials that David Rudiman was taken from the infield care center, and he's going to be taken for further observation at a local hospital here in the area. He was taken by ground, so we can think that is a good sign. If it was more serious, you would think that they would put him in the helicopter and fly him out there, but he's been taken by ground to be observed at another hospital, a local hospital here in the area.
You know, Rick, I think you're exactly right. They would airlift him out if there was any type of life-threatening injuries, and the fact that we know he was conscious. In fact, I saw him cringe as he got out of his car. It looked like he was in a lot of pain out of his truck, and that they're taking him over there for observation, and it's not in the helicopter is a good sign for David.
And the great thing about it, him being conscious. Coming out of that, I mean, that hit was so hard when he hit the wall. As we had mentioned, speeds upwards 190 miles an hour on the straightaways. Both David and Bill probably hit the wall anywhere from 150 to 165 miles an hour coming out of turn number 4. I mean, they were accelerating coming out of turn 4, so very hard hit there. Well, next Saturday, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series comes to you from the half-mile Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. It'll be the last short track race of the season. The series takes on race 22 of 25. Speed Channel's there covering live all of the action from start to finish. And that championship battle will continue, and it heats up as we go to Martinsville next week. That's next Saturday from Martinsville Speedway, 1 o'clock Eastern, live on Speed Channel. Again, this is the safety crews working on that wall in turn number 4. We're under red flag conditions. The trucks have come to a stop, and we'll be back with more from Texas Motor Speedway. Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Silverado 350K live on Speed Channel. We're under red flag conditions. That is the point where David Rudiman, Bill Lester made contact with the wall coming out of turn number 4, and through the power of Fox Sports, we've been able to get an update on David Rudiman. We've somewhat bypassed NASCAR on this one, but not intentionally. One of our broadcast partners and team owner, that would be DW, old Darrell Waltrip, was able to get in touch with David Rudiman's wife, who David Rudiman has been in contact with his wife, said he was okay, and actually passed on a message to DW that said, I want a piece of you at Martinsville. And so we're all very, very happy to hear that David Rudiman still has that competitive spirit, and he's looking forward to the next race in Martinsville 1 week from today. And so he heads back to, he's on his way to the hospital in the local area to have him reviewed one more time. He was taken from the infield care center to that hospital, and the reason for all of this, we're going to show you some replays. And again, That's Bill Lester on the inside, David Rudiman on the outside.
Gets a little bit loose on the inside. As he tries to correct it, he goes up, makes contact with David Rudiman. They both make extremely hard contact with the safer barriers on the outside of the racetrack. Right now, David Rudiman is just along for the ride. He had no control over that truck. Here we see again, Bill sneaks up on the inside, and then he just turns them both right into the outside wall. It almost seems like some angles of viewing this look worse than others, and that one looked pretty bad right there. David Rudiman went on and hit the inside pit wall ever so slightly because he had no control over his truck, no brakes, no steering, no anything. But here you see again, Bill Lester got completely sideways as he moved up the hill to try to corral that truck. He hit the left front corner of David Rudiman and turned them both straight into the outside wall. Here's another view of it. Again, that's a very, very wicked contact with the outside wall there, and that's by far the worst view of that. Again, but that shows how hard these trucks can hit the wall. As you mentioned earlier, Rick, probably 150, 165 miles an hour right there. You see them narrow those trucks up as much as they did. These trucks are built with a lot of steel, a lot of reinforcement, but you hit a wall that hard, it's going to narrow them up.
And just to keep you informed, both David Rudiman and Bill Lester were looked at the Infield Care Center, and actually both drivers were transported to a local hospital for further evaluation in the same ambulance. So David Rudiman and Bill Lester got into an ambulance and they headed to a local hospital for further evaluation. But as we had mentioned, Bill Lester walked out of his truck. He was able to get out, walk to the ambulance under his own power. And David Rudiman, we've heard from not only his wife, but also his team owner, DW. And so they were able to confirm that David Rudiman was doing fairly well.
You see the repairs have done with the wall as the pace truck starts to pull off there. You see our leader right behind the pace truck, Mike Skinner. Todd Bodine, second position. Carl Edwards, third place. Johnny Benson, fourth. And David Starr, fifth. We've got radio communications with David Starr. Let's see if we can talk to David and see how his day is going. David Starr, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Well, Phil, I got you.
Buddy, you've been in the top 5 this entire race. You're fifth right now. You've got 3 Toyotas and a Ford in front of you. Can you do anything with them in front of your hometown crowd?
Phil, we're working on our spare Chevrolet Silverado's a little loose right now on entry in the center of the corner, but talking to Dave McCarty, we got to be free like that so we can get up off the corner. So we got 40 laps to work with it. We'll see what we can do.
All right, getting ready to restart this race. They've made repairs to the wall, so you get that spares manufacturing up. You've only got 4 guys to go by, so do it.
Thanks a lot, Phil. Good talking to you.
All right, good luck, David.
Great situation as the trucks are running again. And actually, it's a very good situation that the trucks were able to come down pit road just a while back to refill with fuel, because once they were parked on that embankment, the pickup for the fuel cell is on the top. It would have been on the high side of that fuel cell, so they might not have been able to get fuel to restart.
We see Travis Quapple. He's got some problems. He's going under the hood of his Toyota, but that's why all those trucks park at an angle, so they can ride down the bank and drop the clutch and jump it off. Ray, what's going on with Travis Quapple?
Well, Phil, he's been real disappointed all day with the front end of this race truck, and they wanted to open up the shock on the right front, so they're working on that. And they also felt like maybe they had something broken up front in the steering compartment. He said every time he came off 4, it just felt like it was going to violently spin to the left. Now, pit road was closed this time when he came down, so he'll go to the tail end. But the bottom line here is they want to try to make this thing handle a little bit better for him so Travis doesn't feel like he's going to crash every single lap.
Mike Skinner with a very strong truck today. Had an engine change after the first practice yesterday. And so by changing that engine, he had to go to the back of the field, but he qualified on the pole. So he had the fastest truck in qualifying, set a track record, went to the back of the field, and now has worked his way all the way up to the front of the field.
We've got more trucks coming down pit road. Hank Parker Jr., the 21, Shane Meal. There's Shane right there in the pits. See if they're going to look. They're going to open the hood on Shane's truck and try to do some repairs. Hank Parker's in, Chad Chaffin, Chad Blunt, all on pit road.
Ray, what's happening on pit road?
Well, with the Dickies Dodge, Rick, the problem was Chad said he felt like he may have flat spotted the right rear tire there, so apparently he was on the brakes real hard to try to avoid that accident there, so that's what they're looking at. He said the right rear was vibrating. It felt like it was flat spotted, so they're taking a look at that right now.
Also repairing the right rear corner of the Dickies Dodge. Making up a tape patch right there. Chad did a great job to avoid those trucks as they came off the outside wall. David Ruderman across the infield grass, and Bill Lester's truck remained on the racetrack, but Chad had to do some evasive action there to avoid hitting David Ruderman as he came across the racetrack.
Travis Quapple also evasive action. He was flying down pit road to avoid that accident as well. Somebody that was also involved in that accident was Robert Huffman in number 12, and he has been checked and released from the care center. And again, just reminding you, Bill Lester and David Ruderman have been transported from the infield care center to a local hospital, Harris Hospital, here in the Fort Worth, Texas area, and they've been transported by ground by an ambulance. As a matter of fact, both in the same ambulance, and so they will be checked out at Harris Hospital. A little bit of a further evaluation on the two of those drivers.
We got the signal, 1 lap to go. Ray Dunlap, what's going on?
Hey, Phil, I told you they were going to open up the shocks on the 24. Not the case. They actually replaced them. They said they felt like the right front shock was actually bad. So both front shocks on the 24 got replaced. And boy, Travis just got off of pit road within an inch of not losing a lap there. So he barely made it off as they came back in to finish repairs on that 24 Toyota.
Yeah, Ray, as you mentioned, he pitted before pit road was open, so he will have to restart this race from the longest line, which will be the lead lap line. There are 23 trucks right now being shown on the lead lap.
Chad Chaffin in the Dickies Dodge back on pit road.
Chad, one of those 23 trucks on the lead lap. He will restart this race at the very back also because of making the pit stop.
A lot of damage done to a lot of trucks at Texas Motor Speedway today.
Ultra fast, ultra smooth racetrack. When you have trouble like that, you're going to make hard contact with the outside wall. But we've got a race to run here. Inside of 40 laps to go. Mike Skinner trying to win his first race in 8 years in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Todd Bodine wants to be the spoiler in this one, as does Carl Edwards, who wants to have a great finish. He's currently third in this race and third in the points. The green flag flies and we're back underway in Texas. Early on, Todd Bodine into the grass almost as he was trying to make the pass on Mike Skinner.
Took a look to the outside, not quite able to make it work. Mike Skinner is hungry. Todd Bodine won 2 weeks ago. Wendy, what's going on with Mike Skinner?
He could possibly have a flat left rear tire. Carl Edwards came over the radar right before that restart and wanted to report to NASCAR that the 5 looked like he had a flat left rear. You heard Kevin Cowboy Starlin, the crew chief, tell the NASCAR official from the 99 pit.
Boy, Wendy, it sure looks like you might be right. Mike Skinner losing spots. Todd Bodine's taking over the lead. Johnny Benson now in the second position. Mike gets back down to the bottom of the racetrack, but he's going ever so slowly through the center of the corner right in front of Bobby Hamilton. There's Dennis Setzer. He looks at Bobby Hamilton. Mike's going to move over to the left side. You see Dennis Setzer again passed on both sides.
Ted Musgrave on the high side, Rick Crawford on the low side, and now Ted Musgrave. And 3 wide coming out of turn number 4. Dennis Setzer's on the outside of that.
Mike Skinner will make his way on pit road. He must have had a flat. Oh, trouble!
And banging. Tracy Hines gets sideways. Problems again on the front stretch. He's able to control it, and they stay out of the wall. Tracy Hines brings it to a stop on the inside of the track. The caution flag has come out once again.
What a horrible break for Mike Skinner. He just now is making his way onto pit road. Ray, what's going on?
Well, they're going to change that left rear tire, and that's the only one they need to change, so he should be able to get back out here ahead of him. He'll stay on the lead lap.
Great pit work by Mike Skinner's bunch to keep him on the lead lap. What a terrific break for him that the caution came out. You see him, he drives by the pace truck. That's not who dictates when he can come out. It's the leader of the race that dictates when he can pull back on the racetrack.
And that was very close, too. We were able to see it from up here in the booth. The person the stop and go person at the end of pit road would signal to him if he needed to stop and wait for the leader to go by, as well as the other trucks. But he was able to get the green to go, and so he was able to go past the pace truck and stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, that stop sign, man, looks at point at the outside wall. When the leader gets there, then he closes pit road. Obviously, Mike Skinner took off, got to the end of pit road before the leader got there, so he was allowed to pull right straight on the racetrack. Ray?
Guys, I just want to give you an update about a crew member down here. Chad Rainey changes the rear tires for Mike Skinner. Now at California, he separated his right shoulder. The most unbelievable thing has happened down here today. Rainey has been changing the tires for these guys. It's complete dedication. A big ice bag in there for him to try to keep the pain away. But with a separated shoulder, this guy's been going over the wall, and he did that there to change the tires and keep Skinner on the lead lap.
Very tough performance by that pit crew member. Tracy Hines, the reason for our 8th caution of the day.
See him 3 wide there, big wad of trucks right there. You see Tracy come in late. Looks like the 8 truck of Chase Montgomery pulled right up in front of him. You see Mike Skinner. Now everyone's trying to avoid Mike Skinner. Everyone's moving up the hill to avoid Mike Skinner. Then there was a little bit of a chain reaction. Somebody pulls up on the inside. Looks like maybe Shane Meal pulls up on the inside of the 80 of Tracy Hines. Shane goes through the grass, bounces into Tracy Hines. That's what gets him sideways. That's what causes his problem.
Chase Montgomery involved in that.
Did a great job keeping that truck out of harm's way. He's ended up spinning out, but he's on the bottom of the racetrack. All the other trucks up on the racetrack going by here without any problems. See, Shane Meal runs through the grass, runs into Tracy Hines. That gets him sideways. Eric Jones does a nice job avoiding him. He has to go through the grass to avoid him. Tracy does a good job keeping it off the racetrack.
3 wide. Rick Crawford getting a little loose. Here it is, real time.
Shane's wearing out the right front corner of that truck here. He's been on pit road. This guy's, I'm sure, making repairs to the right front corner. We saw that earlier when he got into Matt Crafton. They had to do quite a few repairs to the right front corner of his truck.
Shane Meal coming off of the grass up onto the track, getting into the side of Tracy Hines, and that brings out caution number 8. Wendy?
The 23 and 75, just wanted to update you on both of those. Johnny Benson feels that his truck is hard to get through the corners in the dirty areas, along with Todd Bodine. Him and the 30 are struggling in dirty areas, sounds like with the talk on the radio. Also on the 75, Dave McCarty, the crew chief, came over and said, if those Toyotas start pulling away, they feel like they cannot catch up to him. So he reminded David Starr he's got to keep up with the 30 and the 23 in those Toyota trucks.
Shane Meals, you can see the damage on the right side of that truck as he has some work done on the Trim Spa Chevy.
We saw the damage to the right front corner early on with Matt Crafton. Now you see damage all up and down the right side of that Trim Spa Chevrolet. He's beat the right side off that thing.
And Shane Meal was avoiding. He had to go into the infield to avoid contact, but that, as you mentioned, created a chain reaction where he couldn't hold it on the inside of the track, came out, hit Tracy Hines. Tracy Hines then spun, and that brought out our caution.
It really all started when Mike Skinner slowed down to try to make his way to pit road with a flat tire. That got the entire field seized up a little bit. That allowed Shane to get such a good run. He was so much faster than those other trucks. He had to turn left to go through the grass, or else he would have run in the back of Tracy Hines. Unfortunately, he bounced through the grass, made contact, ended up spinning out Tracy Hines.
On board the Spears Manufacturing 75 of David Starr. The pace truck, Randy Kaiser, takes it down pit road. David Starr in 3rd position, just behind the 30 of Todd Bodine and the 23 of Johnny Benson. The green flag flies, and we're back to racing in Texas.
We hear David Starr wind that engine up to about 9,000 RPMs before he shifts. He's got 2 Toyotas out in front of him and a Ford behind him, the 99 of Carl Edwards.
Dave McCarty wanted him to stay with the 30 and the 23, but David Starr might not be able to do that.
They got a great restart. Todd Bodine and Johnny Benson got a terrific restart. They've opened up about 4 truck lengths right now on David Starr. See if Johnny can do anything with Todd. He's staying right with him. Actually gained on him down the straightaway. Closed into right up on his tailgate.
2 Toyotas out in front in Texas. Last race was won by the 30 of Todd Bodine in California at the 2-mile speedway in Fontana.
We're getting reports that NASCAR warned the 30 truck about laying back on the restarts. They have a certain restart point here, and they want you to go then. They don't want you to wait and hit the brakes and try to get the guys behind you to get on the brakes. They want you to go. They want you to have a smooth restart. So they warned him not to do that again.
The Square D Dodge of Bobby Hamilton has moved up to 6th position. Another good run for grandfather Bobby Hamilton.
2 races in a row that he had to go to the very back of the pack to start the race and made his way. Last time out at Las Vegas, he ended up California, I'm sorry, he ended up finishing in 5th position. This time he's in the 6th position.
And that's going to win a championship. If he's able to do this the remainder of this season, run consistently in the top 10, he is going to be able to win this championship.
Danny Rollins said he told Bobby Hamilton, you give me top 5s every week and we'll take our chances on what everyone else does. Right now you've got nobody really that's contending, as you see Bobby Hamilton going for another position on the outside of Jack Sprague. There's our 4th place truck, the 99 of Carl Edwards, side by side for 5th. Bobby Hamilton on the outside.
Hamilton taking the spot away from Jack Sprague as they went across the start-finish line. And Hamilton stays up on the 2nd line. Now he moves down a little bit lower behind the Super Chips Ford of Carl Edwards.
You know, he told us that he was not going to points race till he got to 5 races to go. Here we are, 5 races to go. He may have been riding this entire race. He may have a lot better truck than he's shown as he looks to the outside of Carl Edwards. He may have a truck capable of winning this race, and now's the time to go as he pulls beside Carl Edwards.
Bobby Hamilton's told me week in and week out, I come out here to win races. I don't come out here to score the most points. I come out here to win races. That's my main objective. And now, with a points championship in sight, he's also looking for a win at Texas Motor Speedway. Ray, what's happening with Bobby?
Well, Rick, at the end of the first run when they pitted at lap 54, Bobby was a little bit tight at the end of that run. So he said, let's loosen this thing up just a little bit. So they did raise the track bar just a little and also air pressure in the right rear. So by doing that, they made this thing a little bit looser. Now, Bobby told me earlier today in the garage, he said the only way to have a shot at winning at Texas is to be real free coming off the corner. That's where you get all your speed. And that's what they've done, is to loosen it up just a little bit so that he can have that extra speed here at the end. Now, as far as Todd Bodine up front, I asked him in Victory Lane when we were at California, are you going to be running this truck next year? He said, I'm not quite sure. Well, you see Mike Hillman, that's the crew chief on this truck. I asked Mike yesterday, I said, are you coming back to race with us full-time next year? He said, I'll tell you what, Ray, I sure hate missing those races on Sunday. That's what I really want to do. Of course, referring to the Nextel Cup Series. So I'm not sure if Mike Hillman will be back here next year, but the rumor in the garage is that the 30 truck will have a teammate next year. These guys will be 2 trucks for Germain Toyota, but Mike Hillman may not be the crew chief.
It'll be a tough deal to break up this combination. 3 out of the 4 races they've run, they've been in the top 5. They won 2 weeks ago at California. They're leading this race inside of 25 laps to go. What a great combination! And right off the bat, they've been good. And the only race they've run that they haven't fished in the top 5 was Loudon, and they may have had the best truck at Loudon. They had trouble on the very first lap with an engine kill switch going bad.
Todd Bodine enjoying his time in the Truck Series. Definitely enjoying his position right now in front of Johnny Benson.
Todd was about 1/10 of a second quicker that lap than Johnny Benson. Johnny's about 7/10 of a second behind Todd. It doesn't appear as though Johnny can match the speed of Todd Bodine. David Starr's fallen back to about 2.5 seconds behind. Bobby Hamilton is gaining on David Starr right now. But right now it's Toyotas up front, 1 and 2.
Bobby Hamilton mentioned he would begin points racing with 5 laps to go or 5 races to go. And I'm not sure if I can call this points racing. He's ahead of everybody right now that he's racing for with the championship in sight. So he's got Carl Edwards behind him. He's got Dennis Setzer behind him, and he's got Ted Musgrave behind him.
Right now he's got Carl Edwards in the 5th position, Ted Musgrave in the 7th position, and Dennis Setzer in the 9th position. So Bobby Hamilton is going to make a gain on all these guys. If the race ended right now, this is how the points would look. Dennis Setzer came in 56 points behind. He will lose 22 points. Carl Edwards will lose a few points, as will Ted Musgrave.
And the way a race affects the points, when this race started, when the green flag flew, Dennis Setzer was our points leader because Bobby Hamilton had to go to the back because of an engine change. Dennis Setzer started a lot further up. He started 8th, and so he was the points leader when the green flag flew. Well, things have panned out. Bobby Hamilton now running very strong in the 4th position, looking to contend for his 5th win of the season.
Bobby Hamilton's being shown about 4 seconds behind right now. He's not quite as fast as Todd Bodine on the racetrack. There's Mike Skinner. What a horrible break for Mike Skinner. He looked like he may have the truck to win. First time in 8 years, had a flat left rear tire, had to make an unscheduled pit stop, was able to stay on the lead lap. He's going to lose a position right here, though. Looks like to Travis Kvapil.
Kvapil making the pass on the inside. Skinner taking the position back as they go into turn number 1. Actually, moments ago, Travis Kvapil, as we look on board with Travis, looks as though debris catches the truck right there.
Looked like maybe a piece of aluminum off of probably off of Shane Neal's truck. As much damage as he has on the right side of his truck, probably a piece of aluminum, maybe a crush panel from Shane Neal's truck bounced off Travis Kvapil. I don't think that would do any damage to Travis. It looked like it hit it right at the front edge of the hood and then bounced off the windshield.
Unbelievable race today in Texas. We've seen a lot of trucks do that, and Chad Blunt gets sideways and gets into the inside wall, and a lot of damage to that Team ASE CarQuest Dodge.
It almost seems like every time we've seen 2 trucks go side by side, the truck on the inside loses air off that spoiler and gets turned around. We see a lot of the veterans not put themselves in that situation where they're going to lose the back end of the truck. They wait for a different part of the racetrack to try to make their pass. Unfortunately for Chad Blunt, he got loose on the inside, made contact, and they made hard contact with the inside wall.
Inside of 16 laps to go in this race, and our 9th caution of the day has come out. Window net down on the number 2 Dodge. We're looking at the side-by-side racing here of Mike Skinner and Travis Kvapil, and right behind them, that's Chad Blunt getting sideways and making contact with the inside wall.
Denny Hamlin was the 03 truck on the outside. Here's another view of it. Look at the back of to the right of your screen. You see Chad Blunt. He gets loose. Same situation. Has to chase the truck up the hill. He makes contact with Denny Hamlin. Then it just sends him towards the inside wall. Nothing he could do about it at this point, but make hard contact with the inside wall. Watch from the back. You see him get a little bit loose. Now he tries to correct it. When he does, he goes up the hill, he hits Denny Hamlin, then it just sends him straight into the inside wall. Not a great deal of room on the backstretch between the outside wall and the inside wall here. Chad made hard contact. You see him moving around in the truck. That's the good news, is he's okay. See the head and neck restraint. That's the head and neck restraint he has on right there. His helmet hooks to that. If he gets a very, very hard impact, that will actually hold his helmet in position to keep it from stretching so far.
So Chad Blunt makes the walk to the ambulance. We've seen that a few times already today. Bill Lester, J.R. Patton made that same walk earlier. Lap 105, we had a red flag condition. David Rudiman, Bill Lester, J.R. Patton, Robert Huffman, all involved in an accident. Now Chad making his way to the ambulance, not happy at all. But Phil, he really can't be upset with anyone in particular. It was his own truck that actually got loose.
Rick, he's probably upset with himself. He knows this was an opportunity to get in Jimmy Smith's Team ASA CarQuest Dodge and try to maybe impress somebody, to maybe give him a chance in one of these trucks or another series possibly. And this is not the way that he wanted to end his race here in this number 2 Ultra Dodge.
NASCAR letting us know this is a quickie yellow, so all of the trucks could come down. Ray, who's going?
Well, Mike Skinner will be down here, Rick. They have a brand new sticker tire to put on that left rear. It'll only be one tire that they changed. The reason was that other tire had a puncture in it, so NASCAR said, we'll replace that tire for you. Now, you notice that it is not Chad Rainey who's over the wall this time. It's Chris Beeson. Chris works on Bill Lester's number 22, and they've asked him to come down since that truck was out of the race. They asked Chris to come down this time because Chad Rainey's in so much pain, he wasn't able to do that tire change. But Skinner will give up 4 spots on the racetrack to get a sticker left rear.
Well, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's Speed News, the most comprehensive motorsports industry and consumer news and information program on TV. Speed News provides highlights and results from motorsports events worldwide. That's tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed Channel. Todd Bodine looking to claim his 2nd victory in 2 races.
Yeah, 2 in a row. That would be pretty big here. As competitive as this truck series is, for Todd Bodine to come out here, win his 4th race in this series, and then come right back and win the 5th race would be pretty incredible. And I'm sure the people at Toyota would be awfully happy about this situation.
Chevy Silverado pace truck out in front of the field. On board with that Chevy Silverado pace truck, Randy Kaiser behind the wheel, pacing the field around the 1.5-mile quad oval of Texas Motor Speedway. Currently, just to get a feel for how fast they're going, they are going around this track at 55 miles an hour. So what you would normally travel around on a highway, that's what these trucks are on their pace lap going.
We've got some radio communication with Bobby Hamilton. Let's see if Bobby can hear us. Bobby Hamilton, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Yeah, Phil, I got you.
Bobby, for the 2nd race in a row, you had to go to the back of the pack and you worked your way into the top 5. You've been holding back any, and we're just now seeing how good that truck is?
No, not really. I've just been trying to be a little smarter than doing the dumb stuff I do most of the time. So it took me a little while longer than usual, but I mean, you got a bunch of square D guys and a bunch of people with a left tape measure, and Jenkins with the lawyer's firm, and Mack trucks to pull these things with. It's hard to do wrong. We're just trying to finish this thing, get us another top 5.
Well, first of all, Bobby, you don't make many mistakes, and you certainly haven't made many all year. But Danny Rollins told me before the race, he said, you keep giving me top 5s and we'll win this championship. Is that what you're looking for, or you think you got something for these 3 guys in front of you?
The 1st and 2nd place truck are in a class of their own. We've been worried about that on these bigger racetracks, and I'm sure it's a drag issue, you know, but I know from the chassis dyno results, we've had the best stuff by a couple, but you know, I might have something for the 75. I don't know. He's really good here. David's been on lately. Everybody around me, if you notice, there's a common denominator here. They're all about the same trucks up here again. So even though I'm trying to pass people, I got to make sure I don't let somebody by me too.
All right, Bobby, good luck for the rest of this thing.
I think he said thank you. 74. Eric Jones receiving a free pass, and so he makes his way around the pace truck and will tack on to the end of the lead lap.
Will probably be 1 lap to go here when they get back around, if they get done on the inside. No, we still have a little work done to the inside of the racetrack over there, so we may be here for a little bit more. I think they're trying to load up that number 2 Dodge on the back of the rollback.
Well, be sure to tune in to Speed Monday through Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, to catch Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain. He'll take your calls, your emails on virtually any racing subject. That's Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain, Monday through Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed Channel. Ray?
Hey, Rick, if you can notice, Dennis Adcock is down here talking to Mike Hillman. Actually, there's a whole group of NASCAR officials around here. They have told him to remind his driver that you cannot lay back and then get a bid rung on these guys. It's all about the restart, and they've been noticing they weren't real happy with Todd's restarts from up in the tower. So you see Dennis, he's down here talking to Mike Hillman, and he's saying, now listen, I told you to push the button, get on the radio, and tell him about it. Mike said, don't worry, it's accomplished.
Message received. conversation continues. NASCAR officials talking with the crew chief of the 30.
Dennis Adcox, the head tech inspector for the Craftsman Truck Series. He's the one down there talking to Mike Hellman. Nothing short of miraculous, so the way that Jermaine Arnold Motorsports team has come out of the box here with 4 out of the 4. This is their 5th race. 3 out of the 4 they've been in the top 5, as we mentioned before, with that big win a couple weeks ago, and maybe on the way to win number 2 in a row.
Todd Bodine continues to praise Toyota on all of the research and the development that they have done to be able to field such a competitive truck in the Craftsman Truck Series in just their first season.
There's another Toyota right behind him, Johnny Benson, out of the Bill Davis Racing stable. So 2 different Toyotas out of 2 different race teams running 1-2.
Right behind him, the Spears Manufacturing 75. The fans would love to see David Starr get a win at this 1.5 mile, very fast track.
There's the 2 truck of Chad Blunt being hauled back around the racetrack. We're getting a report 1 lap to go. They will restart this race next time by. I'll guarantee you David Starr has more laps on this racetrack than anybody probably on earth, because he made so many laps here with his brother's driving schools. so David Starr's had a lot of laps on this racetrack with a lot of people riding with him.
Super Chips 99 being shown in the 6th position. Is there something wrong with that, Wendy?
Carl Edwards thinks he has a vibration on his truck on the left front tire. He feels a little bit of a vibration. He came over the radio and asked his team if all the lug nuts were tight. They confirmed him that they got them tight on that last pit stop. And Carl Edwards is just waiting for this race to end. They're already logistically figuring out in Charlotte the replacement with Dave Blaney getting in the Cup car. And they've also told us no interviews from Carl Edwards after this race.
Well, it might be difficult if he's in victory lane, but he's got 5 very good trucks in front of him that you have to get by to claim the victory here in Texas.
Jack Sprague moved into the 5th position right in front of Carl Edwards, the 99. Ted Musgrave, the 1 Mopar Dodge, is in the 7th position right behind Carl Edwards.
About to get back underway. We'll have inside 10 laps remaining as the green flag flies. Todd Bodine out in front, Johnny Benson right behind him.
See the trucks fan out there as they go down towards turn number 1. It looks side by side. Carl Edwards on the inside of Jack Sprague.
Got a little loose.
That allowed Ted Musgrave, the 1 truck, to get by Carl Edwards. There's Rick Crawford, the 14 truck. There's Carl Edwards, 3 wide.
Rick Crawford making the pass. And he sets his sights now on the 46 of Dennis Setzer. Setzer running up on the high line, nose to tail as they go across the start-finish line, side by side for 3rd. Bobby Hamilton trying to take away 3rd from David Starr.
Bobby on the outside there. He gives David plenty of room here. He does not want to squeeze him, get him loose on the inside, as we've seen so many times.
Side by side down the back stretch they go. David Starr on the inside, Bobby Hamilton on the outside.
Bobby's been able to make that outside groove work. You see him inch ahead of David Starr right there. Now he has him cleared. 3rd position for Bobby Hamilton.
Points racing? I don't think so. He's going for the win.
Well, he's points racing because he just gained 5 more points. So he is points racing.
David Starr looking back at Jack Sprague in that Chevy Silverado 16.
Ted Musgrave, the 1 truck, has moved up into the 6th position. Now we've got a big wad of trucks right there. Rick Crawford up in the 7th. Dennis Setzer 8th.
Carl Edwards just behind Setzer in 9th position. So he's backed up since the restart. 7 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line. Dennis Setzer in 8th position. Carl Edwards tries to make the pass on the inside. He has to tuck back in behind Setzer.
Looked like he had visions of driving to the inside of Dennis as they entered turn number 1. Didn't have quite enough room to do it. Here comes Mike Skinner. He's back in this race. He's in the top 15. Currently being shown in the 13th position.
Carl Edwards with his hands full.
There's Shane Meal back up into the top 10. We saw him make a pit stop on this most recent caution. Now he's back into the top 10.
Dennis Setzer second in points. And if it stays the way it is right now, he will lose spots to our points leader, Bobby Hamilton, who's in third, just under a second behind our leader, Todd Bodine.
Ted Musgraves being shown in the 6th position. He will move ahead of Carl Edwards if this race ended the way they're running right now, and into the 3rd position.
Todd Bodine putting distance between himself and Johnny Benson. Johnny Benson has yet to claim a victory in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Todd Bodine looking for 2 in a row. Bobby Hamilton in 3rd. Ray?
Hey, Rick, this team has a brand new truck sitting back at the shop ready to go. It's painted, and they could load it on the truck and take it next week if they wanted to, but I'm not sure if they will, because old chassis number 49 is underneath Todd Bodine today. They've run this exact same truck in every race this year for this team. Not every race, but all the ones they've run. Number 49 has been the workhorse, and Mike Hillman told me, he said, I'm going to have an awful hard time convincing Todd Bodine to drive anything else but this old girl.
How about Bobby Hamilton moving up on Johnny Benson? Bobby was able to get by David Starr. Now he's actually caught the 2 leaders here. The 2 leaders, the 2 Toyotas of Todd Bodine and Johnny Benson. We've got 3 laps to go. There's a battle for 4th. David Starr, Jack Sprague, a battle of 2 Chevrolets.
David Starr's best finish, a 3rd 3 times, most recently in 02, currently in 4th position, and falling back from the 4 of Bobby Hamilton.
Jack ran a higher line that time, trying to see if maybe he could make some ground up on David Starr. 2 laps to go.
Under 3 miles of racing for the Silverado 350K. 146 laps, 219 miles, 350 kilometers, and Todd Bodine has been out in front 69 laps already. When he comes by the start-finish line, this will be his 70th lap led. He will lead the most laps in Texas. He will get 10 bonus points for not only leading a lap, but leading the most laps. But all of that means nothing. What means the most is if he is the first one to take the checkered flag, as he's put almost a second between himself and Johnny Benson as he works his way through 3 and 4. Todd Bodine is looking to make it 2 in a row in the Toyota number 30. Bodine wins at Texas.
Another great performance by the Germain Arnold Motorsports team. Terrific job for Todd Bodine, Mike Hillman, all those guys. What a great run. That makes 4 top 5s out of 5 events, 2 wins. Incredible job for this Toyota team.
Johnny Benson holds on for 2nd. Bobby Hamilton with a great race today, finishing in 3rd. David Starr with a strong performance finishes 4th. Jack Sprague, another top 5 for that Silverado. And Ray is with our winning crew chief. Ray?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll bet they sell a lot of Toyotas at Germain Toyota this week, buddy. 2 races in a row. How in the world is that possible?
I'll tell you what, this is just a big compliment to the whole Arnold Germain Motorsports team. These guys work so hard, but, you know, Toyota's done a great job, and we race what they give us, and we work on it, and we do everything that they learn, and we just develop everything we can and take everything we can in this truck series, and it's paying off. You know, it's just phenomenal, man. I just can't say enough about Toyota, and I'd like to thank them for the opportunity to take 2 old guys that maybe they thought were a little washed up, and I think we can show them what we're capable of doing.
Well, you're proving them wrong, guys. I've been had a Gatorade shower in Victory Lane a lot of times, but never in the pit area, but we got one today.
Hey, I'd like to say one more thing. I want to tell my mother and father-in-law, my mom up there in Lockport, New York, that I really love them, and just keep praying and everything's going to be great. And I want to thank everybody's family for putting up with these guys have done, the work we've done in the last 7 or 8 weeks. You know, you are the ones, the wives and the girlfriends and the kids that pay the price for our success. And I want to tell y'all that, you know, I really appreciate it. And don't be too hard on them. It's me that you need to come yell at.
Congratulations. Go to Victory Lane and enjoy it. That's Mike Hillman, the crew chief for Todd Bodine.
A lot of hard work going into the success that the Germain Arnold team has been able to achieve in the past 5 races. Well, coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Silverado 350K on Speed Channel is brought to you by Chevy, the winningest name in racing, American Revolution. By Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. And by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, scooters, ATVs, and personal watercraft. Carl Edwards finishes 9th, climbs out of the truck, heads to the infield. He's on his way to Charlotte to get into the 99 Cup car for the Cup race at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. Ray?
In his 12th career start, Todd Bodine climbs out of the Germain Auto and Arnold Excavating Toyota. Victory number 2, 2 consecutive wins, Todd. Show me that grin that you showed me in the garage the other day about how good this truck was. Let's see it.
I tell you, I wasn't lying, was I?
No, you weren't.
I tell you, Mike Hillman's done a hell of a job with this thing. This truck is awesome. Toyota Tundra, incredible. This crew's done a great job. The truck was perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect. That last run on the open there, I mean, I was barely lifting out of the throttle, and to do that is awesome. We got to thank all our sponsors. We've got Valvoline, Bosch, Marriott. We got a few little ones. We're trying to get a big one. So anybody wanting to sponsor a truck, we're here.
All right, let's talk about the big picture. I gave you a chance to let us in on what you're doing because I asked you in California if you're driving this truck next year. You said you don't know. What's the variable?
If I get my way, I am. I can tell you that. No, it's incredible to be part of this Toyota family and Jermaine Arnold, and it's incredible. I can't believe it's a 2 in a row to be here in Victory Lane in Texas. I came close last year with the Busch car. Got a flat tire under the red, so this kind of makes up for that.
Congratulations. Go enjoy it. Todd Bodine gets win number 2 here at Texas. Wendy?
Thanks, Ray. Johnny Benson in his 9th race this season. Johnny, you have a 4th, a 3rd, and now a 2nd. You're picking them off one by one.
We are, but I don't really want to do them in order. You know, I mean, it'd been nice just to go right to a win. But, you know, Greg Ely and all the guys here at Bill Davis Racing just done a tremendous job. Been real happy about that. Toyota engine runs great. I mean, everybody at TRD and everybody's just done a tremendous job. So we're having a lot of fun, and hopefully we do get one of these wins. I think we can. Just a matter of being able to get right down there. Todd was really good at there on the middle segment of a run. So good job to those guys. They deserve to win. We run 2nd.
How did your truck respond to the changes they made on pit road today?
Well, good. Well, we didn't change a whole lot. Just a little bit of air pressure here and there. So 1 round of wedge. I mean, it was pretty close start of the race. So the track really stayed the same most of the time. Just started getting a little bit slippery at the end, but nothing really bad or hard to deal with. Just leave it on the floor and just slide around a little bit.
Johnny Benson ties his career best finish in the Truck Series. That last came at Phoenix in 1996, guys.
Thank you, Wendy. Wow. Superman would be proud of that quick change. Carl Edwards already in street clothes. Matt Crafton congratulating him, saying good luck as they make their way to Charlotte for tonight's Cup race. Let's look at the unofficial results for the Silverado 350K. Todd Bodine, back-to-back victories. He is the first back-to-back Truck Series winner since Carl Edwards won Nashville and Bristol back in 2003. And Johnny Benson with a great performance coming home 2nd.
A point leader, great run in 3rd, chasing points and doing it with top 5s.
Mike Skinner, unfortunate left rear tire going down towards the end of the race, having to come in, get that changed. Still comes back and gets an 11th place finish.
See David Ruderman, hard contact with the outside wall and the inside wall here, finishes 30th. Bill Lester 2 spots in front of him, also with hard contact with the outside wall. Great news that Bill Lester walked to the ambulance, and David Ruderman, we get reports that is doing fine, looking forward to racing with DW next week at Martinsville.
We look at the points now with 4 races to go. This is through 21 races. Bobby Hamilton in front of Dennis Setzer. 79 points now separate those two. Ted Musgrave moves ahead of Carl Edwards. 165 back for Musgrave, 173 back for Carl Edwards. 4 races remain. A great points battle building up for the Homestead race at the end of this season. Todd Bodine celebrates in Victory Lane. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the Texas Motor Speedway. Let's look back at all of the events that took place. Bill Lester was on the pole after Mike Skinner had to go to the back, but it was a day of cautions as we had 9 different cautions throughout the day today. That ties the record for most cautions at Texas.
Here's Chad Blunt being forced to the inside of the racetrack there, and this is the hard contact, the hard crash we had. David Rudem in the 17 truck, Bill Lester the 22 truck. Good news from all those guys. We had caused a red flag. They had to repair the damage done to the safer barriers on the outside. We're not done with caution flags. So there's Tracy Hines, gets run into by Shane Meal, the 15 truck. He spins out. Chad Blunt again with problems. Got loose on the inside of Denny Hamlin.
Todd Bodine held on with a very strong truck to claim his second victory in 2 races in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Celebration continuing in Victory Lane. And a man who really wanted to make it to Victory Lane today was David Starr. Wendy.
David Starr came home 4th instead, led a few laps there, and your truck looked stout though today. But at the end, the Toyotas, they really had the horsepower.
I'll tell you what, congratulations to Todd Bodine. They're on a roll. Yeah, they are pretty stout. My Spears Chevrolet Silverado was pretty good today. At the start of the race, it was really loose. When we turn into the corners, when it landed, it would get loose on me. Dave McCarty and the guys tightened it up a little bit at first pit stop, and then we got a little too tight in the center of the corner exit on exit 2, and that last pit stop, they loosened it up, but we just got beat by 3 better trucks today.
David Starr brings home a top 5 in front of his home state crowd. Let's check in with Ray.
Well, thank you, Wendy. I'm with Grandpa Hamilton, and he leads our series with 4 wins and 11 top 5s. You got another one today. You happy with the result?
Yeah, I'm real happy. I mean, you know, the first thing you do when you start chasing the championship like this with 5 to go, you try to finish ahead of your competitors, and the thing just kept driving good, so we was able to pick some more trucks off. Heck, at one time I thought I might have had a shot at them other guys, but they were just a little too good up off the corner for us. And if I drove mine real hard, it would get tied off. But, I mean, this was just a people day for me. You know, we broke a motor, or didn't break one, had a problem. They worked on it all night, put a motor in. Just a great bunch of guys that pulled together with the Square D team and made it happen.
Well, this guy is going to be great at Darlington. He's going to be great at Homestead, and we'll see what he's got at Martinsville. Rick?
Well, our next race is Martinsville next Saturday. Looks as though the helicopter making its way out of the track area. That's Carl Edwards heading to Charlotte, North Carolina to get into the Nextel Cup car, the number 99, and see how he can do there. A great race took place at Texas Motor Speedway today. Todd Bodine comes home a victor. He's finished 1st in the last 2 races, and in that 3rd race, 3 races back, he finished 2nd. So Todd Bodine and that number 30 team has really figured it out in the Truck Series.
You know, it took the Toyotas a while to win a race. Travis Quapple won the first one for them in Michigan. Now they've won 4 races, so Toyota is on a roll.
Spectacular racing in Texas. Tough trucks, tough racing for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. For Wendy Norris, Ray Dunlap, Chad Little, Bill Parsons, I'm Rick Allen saying thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.